Welcome to the show. I'm Michael Buckets.
I'm 2023.
I'm T.
I'm Old King Cole.
And this is Ball Talk. So, jumping back in after a missed week, today we're going to kind of cover a lot of games that happened over the past 2 weeks and just kind of what we thought. I felt like there was a lot of big matchups, like good teams matching up.
Yeah, some
So
playoff
a lot
type
to get into.
contenders going off and just building a lot of steam up into hopefully a good run to take them into the playoffs. Kicking back, like you said, we missed a week last week just because of scheduling and whatnot. So we got a lot to talk about. So let's get right into it. From the
Let's do
fifth.
it.
I have written down here the game Detroit versus the Clippers when Harden dropped 50, looking like 2017 2018 Harden. On the opposite end, Cade had 37 points, 7 boards, and 10 assists. So just doing Cade stuff. I mean, that dude has really turned into an absolute superstar. And build around Cade for sure on the opposite end. But Harden with 50 points, 20 free throws, just like I said, looking like classic Harden, getting to the line like a crazy amount and scoring a bunch. 4 boards, 5 assists, stealing a block, and shooting at a great efficiency, 58% from the field and 46% from 3. The things I have written down from this game are it's great to see Harden looking absolutely amazing with this team, which I feel like we've stressed so many times in previous podcasts that it's just like it's good to see Harden balling out because while there is some discourse sometimes around Harden because he might say a thing or two in the media that some people might not agree with because he's a bit bold and definitely believes in himself a lot. We'll say he believes in himself a lot, and that's definitely a good thing. I mean, he's out here scoring 50 still at this age and leading a Clippers team. What do y'all think about that one?
Yeah, man. I like Harden a lot. I think that just the past couple years, he's been catching a lot of strays, whether that's from the Brooklyn situation to the Daryl Morey Philadelphia situation. And I think he's getting his identity and confidence back. Like, I'm really one of the best of all time. And I think this 50 point put a lot of people's mentality on him, like back to what it was maybe in 2019, where it's like, this is a Hall of Famer. He's not just some scrub or he's not just some 34-year-old who fell off. Like, no,
Yeah,
Harden is still Harden. Harden is still Harden. It was cool to see him get his first 50-point one. That was real cool, especially
yep.
on the Clippers. Like, that was real cool.
Yeah, that's a good note to make as well. Yeah, it was his first 50 piece with the Clippers. So definitely a really dope performance there.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, I definitely think Kawhi being out to start of the year kind of helped, like what Twan said, James Harden get his identity back because I feel like the last two situations he was in, he kind of ultimately had to be the number 2 and number 3 option.
Mm-hmm.
Like going to Brooklyn, everybody's going to play behind KD, and then going over there to Philly, he had to play behind Joel Embiid. So I feel like him getting that feel of being a team leader again and controlling the offense fully without having to make sure another guy eats if he doesn't want him to eat. I feel
Yeah.
like that definitely gave Harden
Hmm.
his confidence of like, I still got this shit. I still do this shit. I don't have to play in the system, right? I feel like he is the system right now over there.
Yes. That's like the perfect way to put it, bro.
For sure.
Heck yeah. So moving on from that, the next day after on the 6th was the Coby White game. I'm not sure if you guys really have a whole lot to say about this one. This one might just be a Bulls fan hype, but I just want to touch on this one real quick because it's definitely nice to see the guard tandem of Giddy and Kobe going off crazy as of this month. So on that day, Chicago ended up slipping by Orlando 125 to 123 behind Giddy with 19 points, 13 boards, and 9 assists. And Coby White's 44 points on 57% shooting and 46% from the 3-point line. Um, the
I
Magic
like
had
that.
5 guys almost at 20 points, and the Bulls still topped them out. That just kind of shows a lot of the problems I think the Magic have been having so far later in the year is they really don't know what to do late in games. They really do, like as much as Paulo really is that guy himself. I don't think one guy can carry a whole team as much as maybe it could have been back in maybe the earlier 2000s. The NBA is such a
Yeah.
different game at this point that Paulo needs other guys that are killers on that team. And I'm not saying that those guys aren't killers on that team, but when it comes down to the last 5 minutes, they have one of the worst offenses in the NBA right now, and they just haven't been
Yep.
able to score when it really matters, and that's when you see their team kind of fall apart, and that's why they kind of fell on this big losing streak that we saw them fall to as of recently.
Yeah.
And yeah, do you guys have anything to say about the Coby White 44 piece? I mean, it was amazing. He was going crazy.
Yeah,
I
man.
think
It
that.
sucks. It's sorry. You got it, Dustin.
Well, I was going to say that's definitely huge for the Bulls, but it just takes the consistency to come with that
Yeah.
because they definitely trading away Zach and letting DeMar walk in free agency was definitely them taking like making Coby White that guy.
Yeah.
So it just like I definitely wish the best for Coby White. I fuck with bro game.
Yeah.
I think bro is a pretty good scorer and can be a pretty like the leader of the team. It just comes with consistency and just like them also putting the right pieces around him. I think Josh Giddey is doing what we kind of expected Josh Giddey to do for the Bulls, which is like he's not going to be your top scorer every night, but he's going to be somebody that goes and crashes the boards and also pass the ball and get other
Shoot,
guys.
if anything, I think Giddey's been even better than what we thought he would be for the Bulls, if we're being completely honest. I mean, I don't think Giddey was getting left open from three all year long in OKC and even most of last year just because he was a complete liability from three and just didn't know how to play defense whatsoever. I mean, he was basically benched the whole entire playoff series last year for the
Yeah.
Thunder because he just couldn't play defense whatsoever.
Mismatch.
Yeah, it was just it was the Duncan Robinson situation with the Heat all over
Yeah.
again. Like just switch to that guy. And
Yeah.
this year we've seen so much more. I mean, he's been averaging I think like 25-ish points as of March for us. Like he's been doing amazing things, shooting the ball even really well from three. I think he's averaging like 36% from three, which isn't a number to jump off the board, but when he was getting just left open and missing open shots most of last year and all at the start of this year, and then comes to Chicago and starts actually making shots. He's playing good help defense. He's actually playing passing lanes a lot better. And then plus, like you said, Antoine, all the other things. I mean, he's doing all the things that we know Josh Giddey to actually do well already. Crash the boards, pass the ball well. He can get inside well. He can make good like layups and such like that. But yeah, I've been very hyped about that. But like you said, with the Coby White thing, that's probably my biggest question mark is the consistency of it all. Because my biggest thing is this is exactly the copy blueprint of what we saw from Coby White maybe like 2 years ago. Well, although Coby White did take that crazy March run and transition it into being second and most improved last year and making himself definitely like a jump as a player from like a bench point guard to a starting point guard or even like a two guard, how he plays now next to Giddey. But like you said, it's just inconsistencies mostly with his game. And I, as much as I am a Bulls fan, I'm also a Bulls truther. And I don't fully think that Coby White is someone that we want to fully buy into as our, like when you said Coby White could be the leader, I honestly kind of cringed. Like my skin kind of fell off of my body. Like I was like, wait a minute, Coby White's our leader? No, dude. Like that's cool.
If he takes that leap, he's only like 25, 26. So he could still he could still take that leap and like. If you would have told me last year Coby White was going to be like the superstar, I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And I no disrespect to him,
Yeah.
but like in that same boat. But now I see him kind of be a shooter and be like a facilitator for the team. And now they got rid of Zach LaVine. I don't think we have anybody that wants to come to Chicago right now. So we have to take what we have.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have any crazy draft capital right now. The only,
They'll be fine.
We have Coby White unless somebody on the team right now takes a step and leap. But if somebody was going to take a leap, they would have done it already because that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
That post All-Star game, that's when you see those next year most improved players kind of show up.
Yeah. Let's just be completely honest here. The Bulls went and got two superstars for a reason. I don't even know if they believed in Coby White, but from what we saw from him, I think Coby White has the ability to be really good and not just
Yeah,
started point guard good. I think if Coby White can really work this summer, like work his ass off, he might be that next franchise piece if the Bulls really believe in him.
You really think
I
so?
yeah,
think
I agree.
obviously I think he's good because I wasn't the biggest Coby White believer. And then I saw him hoop on a team with two primary superstars. That kid can play some basketball. Now, obviously, he's young, so I'm not about to just sit here and say, like, give him the keys and, like, just, I don't know. But from what I've seen, Coby White could average over 20. And, like, if he work his ass off this summer, I think that kid will be real good. Now, I don't know if that equates to winning. I think the team, like the record right now, they're 28-39. In their division alone, they got to worry about the Bucks, the Pacers, the Pistons, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like, I don't think the Bulls
Mhm.
can ever make the playoffs unless they win 50 games minimum.
Yeah, we do
Like,
have
it's
one of the
it's
harder divisions in the East at
it's
this point.
tough. Like, it's tough. So, with that being said, I don't know where you go if you're the Bulls, but I do think Coby White. I think he can play some good ass basketball,
That I
man.
can agree with. Yeah,
I
for sure.
definitely think
But like,
Coby White is nice, and he definitely could be like the leader of a team, but it's so competitive in that position
It's so
specifically, and
competitive,
there's so
man.
much talent across the league that I don't. If I were a Bulls fan, I don't know how secure I'd feel in Coby White.
Yeah,
Just because of all the point guards. I mean, when we were talking All-Star snubs, it was like every single guard in the East.
Yeah,
yeah, literally.
that's true. But Coby White was
yeah,
not one of those guards, sadly. Like you
Right, which
said,
says
yeah,
like
something
yeah,
like,
yeah.
eh, but he could be that dude. So
just
I
the competition
definitely
is just so out there.
I
Yeah.
think he needs to improve on toughness. I feel like he doesn't have that tough aspect of what you look for when you think about the leader of a team. Like he's a great player, we can say that, but I feel like I don't want to disrespect him and say
No, I hear
soft,
you.
but that's like when I think Coby White, I'm not thinking about
He's not no
rough tough.
gritty
Like
guy. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think he's like the Bulls need a leader
Because that's kind of
that's
exactly
going
what
to
I was gonna say into like with him not really like playing
Yeah.
defense really. Like he
yeah.
has nights where he's playing the passing lanes well and whatnot, but you don't look at Coby White and say, "Hey, this guy's a perimeter defender in any
Yeah.
aspect, like
He not
whatsoever."
I feel like he
scrappy,
got that
man.
fire.
Yeah,
I
he's
don't
Not
not
think he
like a
got the
scrappy.
fire
liability,
that
but yeah, exactly. He's not like gritty. He's not that type
Yeah.
of player to get that fire under it. Like
yeah.
he's really not that. So
Like
that's
that's
why
what you
when I hear Coby White leader, I'm like,
but
shit.
he's
So
the
we
leader right
just
now.
we just trying to outscore every
Yep.
team then?
Yep.
Because
Yep.
that's what
One
we've been
thing.
doing for like
Yeah.
since the Zach LaVine DeMar DeRozan thing, and clearly that didn't work. Let's do something like the
Yeah.
Cavs are doing, where you build a full team, or like the Thunder are doing,
Yeah.
where you build a full team, because that's what you need
Yeah.
in today's NBA. Today's NBA is a
Hell yeah.
whole different thing than what it ever was. I think that's why super teams don't work. That's why single stars don't work. You need a full team from point A
Yep.
Yeah.
all the way down to point Z. Like,
Yep.
You need at least 8 good players.
yeah,
Yeah.
you
At
need
least
And
eight.
like,
every.
Like you gotta have your starting five has to be solid with each other, and then you gotta have your sixth man, your seventh man, and the eighth man. Like you gotta be able to have at least 8 players that are above average with your
and
team.
even
Like when you
aside
think
from the
about
players, your coach has to be a really damn good coach
yeah,
if you want to win basketball games.
Yeah,
And
especially in
even
today's
aside from the
NBA.
coach, your organization has to believe in the team. Most of these
yeah,
organizations don't give a fuck about who wins or loses. If that's what
yeah.
it's looking like for your organization, you won't be competitive in this NBA in 2025.
Yeah. Yeah, you just need it to be all perfect, I feel like, from point A to point Z.
Yeah.
So that's why there's only like certain teams that I necessarily believe in, because there's only certain teams that are really built for a long playoff
Yeah.
push. Because like you got to think about it, like the Cavs 1 through 5, every one of their players can
Yeah.
take advantage of a mismatch every single night.
Hell yeah.
DeAndre Hunter
Hell
could
yeah.
take advantage of a mismatch one night, and then
That's a
Donovan Mitchell is
great
taking
pickup.
advantage of a mismatch the next night, and then Darius Garland is, and then Emob is, and then Jared Allen. Like they have one
Didn't they
through
also
five,
get
their whole starting
the
unit can take advantage of a weak guy on your roster, and that's kind of
yeah,
what
I
you
was
need in
gonna
Yep.
today's
say
NBA.
mismatches have
Mhm.
become like the key to
Yep.
winning or to pushing to late playoff stages, just
Hell yeah,
because
bro.
if you have a hole and you're playing someone for 7 games, they're going to find your hole and that's where they're going to attack. And you can't do anything about it. You're in a 7-game series in the postseason, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think about what Jeff Teague was talking about when the Hawks played the Heat one year, or I think it might have been the Cavs, and then LeBron was like, "I figured y'all out," and then when they played them in a 7-game series, LeBron just kept getting the mismatch of Jeff Teague on him because he figured out Jeff Teague was the defensive weak spot on their offense or on their
That's
defense.
so
So
crazy.
that's what I think about. It's like, dang, like this game it's a beautiful game, and yeah, I definitely feel like it takes a great coach to kind of be a tactician.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, he
That's exactly
got
what
like
I was gonna say.
I feel like
Yeah.
all the good teams have coaches that have been doing something unique. Like nothing's new under the sun. But when you think about the Cavs have been able to like build a great roster, and that coach has been able to use that roster to the best of their abilities. But then you think about Joe Mazzulla, and he's taking he's revolutionizing shooting as a team. Like they take more threes than anybody else in the league. That's probably more than any team has ever collectively taken threes as a team. So that's like something we haven't seen. And then you got I'm blanking on a guy named from the Thunder, but just like the way that he's able to squeeze
Is
as
it Mark
much talent
Daigneault?
out of those. Yeah, I think so. I just didn't want to butcher his last name, but yeah, like you see, he's using those young guys that he has on that team and squeezing as much as he can get out of young guys that are truthfully inexperienced. They're getting experience now, but they're inexperienced as like what you would expect
Yeah.
great teams. Because you think about what the Cavs have right now, they have veterans who've been around. Like all of these guys are either on their second or first team, and they've been here for 5 or 6 years. You know, you had Jared Allen was over there on the Nets before he came over here. So this is his second lifetime. Then you got Donovan Mitchell coming from the Jazz, and he was a super leader over there. Now he's on his second life. And DeAndre Hunter is on his second and third team coming from the Hawks. So it's like like when you think about the Cavs, they have some seasoned veterans who've been doing this, and then you got the Thunder who has this new kind of team that's very young, and they're kind of learning with each other and growing with each other as a team. So I feel like all good teams definitely have all the aspects y'all list, plus that coach being like having a unique style that they have cultivated to support their team that they have right now. Like it's like all of those teams that's doing well are not doing the same exact thing,
Yeah,
if
no
that
doubt.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, another thing just to touch on real quick before we move on, I think into the coaching staff thing, I think you don't even just need a good head coach at this point, because you look at a team like Michael's favorite team, the Bucks. You need a good assistant coach even at this point. I mean, they got Doc
No,
Rivers
yeah.
and a championship
Yeah.
head coach at their assistant coach in Darvin Ham.
Mr. Ham.
Like they
Yeah.
got like you almost need a whole like I said from A to Z coach, head coach, training staff. Damn, you need your equipment manager to be fully bought in to actually win a championship.
Oh,
So
for
like,
real.
nah, for real. Like, so
Straight up.
Real talk, bro.
you know
It
what I
is.
mean?
No, it is like the Bucks are a really good example because look at the assets we have just all together. Like
Yeah.
you're pointing out the staff and also like the players. I mean, this is one of the best duos ever, but nobody's really scared of the Bucks because you need everything
Mhm.
because we have a couple holes.
And with just a couple holes, that's like enough to just piece you apart in a 7-game series,
Right.
like you said earlier,
Yeah.
where it's just a whole different game nowadays. But moving on after that little rabbit hole we fell down. Also happening on the 6th, the Knicks played the Lakers, ended up going to OT. The Lakers squeezed by 113 to 109. Bron and Luka combined for 63 points, 19 boards, and 20 assists together, while Brunson was kind of out there by himself this game with 39 points and 10 assists. Yeah, I mean, the rest of the team was looking good for the most part of the game, of course, because, I mean, otherwise they wouldn't have been able to keep up. But really from, like, midway through the fourth quarter on, it was just Brunson controlling the whole offense, doing everything by himself. And not only that, another piece that I wanted to mention, this might just be some propaganda that nobody wants to talk about or nobody wants to hear,
Oh, I
but
love basketball propaganda. I love it.
but man, the whistle was in favor of the Lakers that night, let me tell you. Let me tell you. And
I
Brunson
thought it was.
was mad about it. Like every time, there was one time where I was watching specifically where Bron had went down for a layup and then he like throws it out to the corner. And Brunson is arguably the best at taking charges in the league right now, ever since
Mm-hmm.
like Marcus Smart hasn't been like super involved with like a winning team and like in the limelight and whatnot. But Brunson's been absolutely amazing at like taking charges and being in like right spots defensively that way. Like he's just got great footwork offensively and defensively. And Braun like ran through the dude as Brunson was just sitting there standing in charge position. Like he was standing there in position since before Braun even got past the 3-point line. And like if I could see that clear as day, I don't know how the refs couldn't see that when they're literally 5 feet from the dude. And like obviously you're looking at LeBron at that point because he's got the ball at that point and like runs through bro and just throws the ball out to the corner. And I was like, man, and that's a late game situation. Like that changes the game. There were a couple times when Brunson went up with it, and there was like a block by the Lakers, but it definitely looked like a bit of a foul. It was just the whistle was looking like it was in LA's favor, and I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if that's something we necessarily want to talk about too deeply or anything, but it felt
No,
like
bro,
it
I
changed the
definitely think
game
we
a
should.
Nah, that's
lot.
valid.
It's like
That's valid, bro.
the Lakers are super relevant all of a sudden. And I'm not even gonna lie, you see it in the store when you go shopping. More
Yeah.
Lakers stuff is for sale. Like they want you to love the Lakers and they want the Lakers to win back. They want the Lakers to win
Yep.
the championship this year, you know?
Yeah,
If
no
they
doubt.
had control over it, if it was scripted, they would script it for the Lakers.
Mhm.
For sure. That's
So
America's
it's
team, bro.
definitely and so yeah, if they can make a bad call and think nobody's going to notice it, even though obviously people did, they're probably going to do that just because they want the Lakers to win. And I don't know. I don't really think that's a secret.
No, yeah, and it was
Yeah.
crazy because you saw on like 6 or 7 different occasions Jalen Brunson would like go up for a layup, or like either he would get fouled going up for a shot, or he would draw a charge, or there would be some sort of an offensive foul committed onto him while he was playing defense because he was just super committed at the late parts of that game. And after it would happen, he would just look at whoever the ref was on that side and just give him a thumbs up. That's all he did. He would just be running down the court, like
It's
either to get
like,
back on offense or back on defense, just giving him a thumbs
yeah.
up. And I was like, man, that's how you know you're defeated, and you know that like that's almost how I
There's
was.
nothing you can do.
Yeah, that's almost where I got this thought process where I was like, okay, the whistle is in the Lakers' favor for sure, and even the players can tell at this point because they're not even like Brunson wasn't arguing. He wasn't saying a word. He didn't even walk in the ref's direction like most players normally do. He just gave him a thumbs up and kept running because he said, Dog, what am I gonna do? It's the Lakers.
Yeah.
Like, and they were in LA. Like, what was he
Yeah,
supposed to
bro.
do? Like,
I don't remember who it was who had talked about when you're deep in the playoffs, it's like you actually got to win by 15 because they're going to give so many foul calls and free throws to draw the game out that you really got to be dominant if you're going to come out on top.
mhm.
And I
Yeah.
just think that's like
Yeah, I do
it's so
remember that.
true. I mean,
That's
you
true.
can tell
I
too.
think that shit true.
You can tell when you're
Unfortunately,
watching a game that you know a lot of people are watching, that it's more drawn out than like a casual game that
hell
everyone's
yeah.
watching.
I mean, shit, there was that
Well,
one
sad.
Lakers game, like last year, that the last like 5 seconds of the game lasted 20 minutes of real time or like 30 minutes of real time because they were, like looking at a replay or something. Like,
They just wanted to play commercials, man.
yeah, the shit is
Gotta
definitely
get those
entertainment at the
advertisements
at the end of the day.
Yeah. And that's the loophole with this shit. Where like they can say like we never said the games were happening. We just said this is entertainment.
That's
It's
the
like,
thing
there's
that
nothing
that's
you
the
can
thing
really
that
say.
gets me the most. This is so off subject, but that's the thing that gets me the most with Wilt's 100-point game. I feel like I've talked about this a million different times with all of y'all separately, but never in the podcast
Shit's
actually.
fake.
But that shit is fake as
It's
fuck.
fake, bro.
I don't give a shit what nobody says. Wilt did not score
It's
100.
fake, kid.
How do we have footage of people running track in the Olympics from the 1930s when
Shit's fake,
when
kid.
wars were happening and terrible things were going on, but we don't have March 2nd, 1960. What's up with it?
What's it called?
What's
I
up
was
with
gonna
it?
say, but I did a presentation last year in school, and and it was about the 1984 draft being rigged. So Patrick Ewing went to the Knicks because he was the biggest draft prospect.
Mhm.
That's not what I was going to say. But that led me down this rabbit hole of looking around and noticing that back in the day before the NBA was like a cornerstone of like entertainment in the world, they used to do a lot of propaganda-ish things of like trying to get people to be like, oh, what's going on in this league right now? This guy scored 100 points. Oh, this
Of
big
course.
guy went to this team. So like, I definitely wouldn't doubt that that shit was propaganda.
Yeah,
to get
until
people
I
to
see
be
the
more
footage, I
interested.
will not believe it.
No, yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
because it's not like a new conversation where people are like, nah, I don't think that ever happened. Like, since the day that they said it happened, people have been like, did that really happen? And there were
Right,
people that
well.
were in the building that are like, no, it didn't happen. Even though a lot of people in the building said it did, there were people there that said it didn't. So why would they lie? You know?
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
The only thing that I would say to the 100-point game is to like be on the advocate side is that the reason why we see all of these old films from like 40s, 50s, Olympics, football, you can look up NFL film from like the 50s. I think the NBA was not given the like when we view the NBA today, it's $1 billion company. When it was like the 60s and like basketball was just beginning, that shit was trash, bro. Like no one
Yeah,
was
but
watching NBA.
there's even regular footage from like that time era though.
I never seen any 60s footage in my life. That's why we
I
didn't
see some
have
Wilt
the
Chamberlain highlights.
I was gonna
I've
say
never
you
seen
can
a
look
100
up
point.
you can
I
look up
think
Well,
Wilt might be
colorized.
closer.
You can look up
when
HD colorized Wilt Chamberlain highlights right now.
Yeah, I would say I've
right.
definitely seen some
My
Wilt, but
thing
I've never
is
seen
though,
100.
my thing is obviously like no one knew he was gonna do that. So I'm saying like
Yeah.
just to be on that advocate side, like they wasn't streaming 82 games.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
I could see why
You
they
do have
couldn't.
No,
a
that is a good
You
point.
know what I
Yeah,
Yeah.
mean?
that's a
Like
great
that's
point.
the
They're not
only
gonna
thing that
stream
I
that's a
think
every
beautiful
about.
game.
point.
That's the
That's
only
a
thing that I
beautiful
think
point.
And
of.
it's not
Like
even
the
just
NBA
82
was
games,
dirt
it's
poor
82
shit.
games for however many teams were in the league at that point.
Yeah.
So I definitely hear you. They ain't got the money to
Yeah,
And just
chug the
financially, the
cameras out
NBA
every
was
single game. Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
like
We
NFL
gotta
was like how we view
Oh,
NBA.
but
do
I
a
know
deep
for a
dive into
fact.
that and figure out the
I was gonna
truth.
say, I know for a
Yeah,
fact it has to be a radio broadcast because they used to broadcast
yeah.
everything. There should
I
be
need
there should
footage.
be a radio broadcast. But
Hell
I'm
yeah.
I'm saying that's the only evidence of like they did that for everything because that's still to this day. That's what they call baseball since the 1800s was still the
Yeah.
radio. You know what I say? So it has to be like a radio type of thing. I
Yeah,
don't know.
League
bro.
We
where it's
definitely have
more
to
than
deep
we can
dive.
even imagine.
Yeah, for real. They holding that shit
That's
in
why
a
they should
vault.
release it. Like, what
Mhm.
y'all
Nah,
waiting
dog. They
on,
holding
bro?
that shit in a vault for life. They ain't gonna release that.
Maybe we was giving bro 4-point plays on free throws.
Like, for
He
real,
shooting one
bro.
free
I was
throw.
about to say
That shit
another
went up 8
thing to
points.
be on the negative Nancy side. Brother
Hey.
made like what, like 48 out of 52 free throws that night when he was a 56% free throw shooter that year. And you're telling me all of a
Yeah,
sudden
that's
on this
fishy.
magical 100 point night, he was just a 98% free throw shooter? Aight, dog. Aight.
Yeah, that's
Aight.
fishy.
Also,
That's
Y'all got it, bro.
did people not foul out back then? Like, how did they foul him that
Yeah.
many times?
How do you
That's what
get
I'm
50
saying.
some free throws? Yeah, they should have had nobody on the team at
Like,
that point.
At the
Like,
end
Probably
of the
like
game,
6
he was
players.
just dogging on their third strings.
I was gonna say,
They had to
just
call
had,
some
like,
fans out on
yeah,
the
they had
court.
like the assistant
Man,
coach on the
their
floor.
coach.
Literally,
Y'all was playing
literally.
the coaches.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What about telling the coaches go suit up, bro?
Maybe
You
that's
gotta
what
stop
happened.
this
Maybe
man.
everybody fouled out.
That's why certain
No.
coaches are retired. That's what it is. They played there.
They say he
Mad
only
at it.
shot 28 free throws. Only
28.
28 free
Okay,
throws.
yeah, I knew.
28 out of 100. That's still nuts.
But
Don't
and
get
what?
me
How
wrong.
many did he make? Like it was like 26 out of 28. He made some like crazy amount compared to what his percentages were that year.
I'm gonna be honest. They say he went 36 for 63
36 for
like,
63 in free throws.
in that game. Like it's in for free throws, he
Oh,
went 28 for 32
28 for 32.
Oh,
Yeah, come on now.
out of the free throws.
He missed 4 out of 32 when on average he missed 16 out of 32
Yeah.
that
I
year.
don't
I
know.
don't
I don't
know,
know.
brother.
I don't know. Yeah.
But
they
the
wanted
field
people to
goals,
start watching.
that one they made a lot more believable. Only shooting like 50%. He was just chucking them up there trying to get that
Yeah,
shit.
bro.
That seems
He was
legit.
just standing there, grabbing it, putting it in
What
the
his
hole.
teammates have? Like, you know? Like,
Like
they just
0
said we're playing
points.
through Wilt today.
Yeah.
That was the
Bro,
all-plumber
you know what
team.
I was about to say that. I
All-plumber
was about to
team.
say that. He was
He
playing
played
with
the
all the
all-plumber
plumbers.
team.
Yo.
Like what, bro? I find it also weird. They don't even have his blocks or steals from that game.
That's what I'm
They just
saying. Yeah,
have, they just
I
have
feel
the
like they didn't
point.
care about a lot of stats back then.
that is
But
Because
true
even
that's
though.
on
They
still
did.
Basketball
weird.
They
Reference, it'll
didn't.
be like things before 1973 or something are like kind of sketchy.
Yeah,
That's
because you
what
got to
I'm
think
saying,
the
bro.
NBA
Like,
and the ABA merged at some point, and then they like basically
yeah,
combined their stats because the ABA were keeping track of a lot of stats that the NBA wasn't keeping track of. But then once they
hell yeah,
combined, the NBA took a lot of those stats because it was like, oh shit, well, we're not trying to
I'm sure
just like
points and
stop
rebounds are
that.
the most accurate.
yeah.
There's
Points and
probably a few
rebound,
mistakes in those, but
and probably like attempts, obviously, because a
Nah,
kid
but
can
there's
count
that whole
attempts.
speculation that Jordan was getting extra stats the whole time. So
Not in the 80s and 90s. I mean, obviously,
I
that's what
mean
they want us to
that's what they
believe.
were
So I can see
saying.
it.
there were
That's what
seasons
I
when
can
he
see
would
it.
get double the amount of steals at home.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Yeah.
Was he doing the steals?
I don't
Like,
know. I don't know.
Like
I'm
the
just saying
scorekeeper
that's
was
what the
like
argument
tagging
is. I'm
like
not taking a side on
extra
it, but
steals on
I
his
have heard
shit.
that before. Where like when Jordan was at, it could just
man,
be home court advantage, but when he was at home, his defense was better according to stats. So
I'm not gonna
He
argue
got
that
that
against him. I'm not
he
arguing that.
got that extra. He got that extra
If you
energy from the
played at home,
crowd.
your stats would be better.
That's what I'm
All
saying,
right,
bro.
y'all.
I
All
think
right,
so.
y'all.
I mean, I hope so because I played
That's
a
what
lot
I'm
of
saying.
We
That's
times.
already
already
my
know.
goat,
We already
damn it.
know where this argument's gonna go into. Let's
That's
move
my
on.
goat,
Yeah,
damn
I
it.
was gonna say let's
Hey,
move
I was
on.
just gonna
We
say,
ain't gonna turn into
Cole
first
said,
take now.
Cole said we going there and we was gonna go there. I was
I
gonna be
knew
like,
it.
well,
That's my
maybe
goat,
if
damn it.
We
You
do
better
maybe
it.
not
if the
talk
other
about my
man's
goat.
was getting that treatment,
Oh my god, that's funny. So on the
other
7th, Phoenix ended up going up against Denver. That's the game where KD hit the shot to get him into OT. Devin Booker with balls of steel, honestly, passing the ball off with like what? There was like 1.9 seconds left on the clock, and he got the inbound pass and still
Bro,
passed it to the corner. Like, you gotta
it
have some
takes
balls, bro.
it takes a lot of like
That was a beautiful play
serious
call.
fucking I don't even know to be able to do that play in somebody else's arena.
Yeah, dude.
Um, they really
give it
executed
extra
it
the easy
perfectly.
money sniper.
No doubt.
With
That felt
Jamal
it
Murray
felt like
hitting the
that
shot
Rucker.
before
It
that,
felt like
bro.
that Rucker
Right, like
clip
all
with
the
KD.
energy from that Jamal Murray shot, and you're just gonna go out there
Yeah.
and in a couple seconds push it to overtime.
For real, that's
Like,
crazy.
it
Bro,
was so
That was
wide
tough.
open. It was too wide open, bro.
Yeah, the play they ran was so good. They ran a really good
It was a
inbound
great
play.
play,
I
man.
won't lie.
It was
Yeah,
a
it was
great
so
play.
They
good.
had me fooled.
Yeah, no doubt. I thought they were going to KD first, and then they slipped it to D Book, and then I saw the double coming, and I was like, oh shit, he's gonna miss
Me
this
too.
shot, and he passed it off, and I was like, no shit, huh?
Yeah.
And KD, whoop,
Wide open.
yeah.
Honestly, when he grabs the ball too, you're like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. As soon as you see KD open from 3, you just know
You don't
it's
even
in.
need to see
Like,
the shot for him.
like you said as well. That's easy money sniper.
It's easy money snipe.
But on the other side, that was Jokic's historic night where he had the 30-20-20, going off for 31 points, 21 boards, 22 assists, and 3 steals. Shooting, honestly, pretty amazingly that night as well. 59% from the field and 42% from 3. They had 7 players in double digits. They only had 8 players play. So 7 out of the 8 players were in double digits, and the one guy who wasn't had 6 points. Damn near the whole team was like in double digits. Everybody that played.
For the Nuggets?
Yeah. So basically, Jokic just facilitated to everybody. Like, he is a my career player at this point. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know what else to
for
say
sure.
about it. He's out there just doing shit that hasn't been done before just because he's bored and shit. And he's like tired of horse racing and shit. I don't know, bro. Like, he's just out there doing shit. So,
Man.
yeah.
Honestly, bro, I'm real torn up on this whole MVP conversation.
That was my next topic because this is the last like Thunder or Nuggets game that I have at least written down, and we've talked a little bit. Oh wait, no, actually I'm a liar. I'm definitely a liar. We got some more to talk about with them. But yeah, that was my next question was Jokic for MVP? Question mark? I mean,
All right, before we get into it, I'll
that's a
say
historic performance.
I'm gonna pick Giannis because I'm a Bucks fan, but I
I
realistically
respect it.
know he's at number 3. And the reason I think he's at number 3 is because even though he's super dominant in the way he plays basketball, it is an old form of basketball, and he's so good at it that he's able to do it. I mean, he's in MVP conversations every year, but I think at some point you got to look at the guys who are evolving and give them their credit.
And I think as sad as it
So
is to say, I
I
think
respect that.
it kind of like the winning has a lot more to do with it as of the last like 2-3 years. You kind of have to be either the best team in the NBA or doing Jokic shit. Like if you're not the best team in the NBA, you have
right.
to literally be like the only one in history to be doing what you're doing ever, or like statistically, like analytically, the most amazing player to ever touch a basketball, and that's kind of what Jokic is analytically. Um,
Hell yeah.
so I think that's kind of what it is. You kind of have, and for the East, the best team in the East, you're not giving Darius Garland or Donovan Mitchell the MVP, sadly. I mean, they're playing great, but
Right. Yeah, and nobody's saying the Bucks are the best team in the East either.
right.
And I think it's
Yeah.
honestly as simple as Giannis doesn't have a 3 ball. Because if he did, he could do what we need Dame to do that he can't always do anymore.
Dude,
You
even
know?
if he shot the ball at like a 30% clip and shot like 4 or 5 threes a game, give me
Like the
give me
KD shot that we were just talking about. That's easy money, you know? But if that were Giannis, it would have been 2 points or super sketchy.
yeah, he would have drove in for sure. I mean, obviously that he wouldn't have had the time for it, but if he did, yeah, he would have taken the drive.
So
He
in
wouldn't
that
have even
scenario,
taken
the
the
Bucks
shot.
would have lost that game because of the Jamal Murray shot. And so yeah, I think that's why the Bucks are at a disadvantage because of that one simple thing. But
But
that being said, I need to be convinced who number 1 is.
Really?
I like
You're not decided yet?
Yeah.
Bro, every single
Game on the
day,
line.
especially these past couple weeks, every single day I'm like, man, this is tough because they both be going so crazy that like I wanna say both of them. I don't want to jip either of them in the
Yeah.
situation, and that makes it really hard.
Game on the line. Give me that shit. Not
I
game
ain't
on the line.
mad
I'm
at
joking.
that.
But
Mad at
but
that, bro. I'm not
I'm
mad at
going
that.
Shea for MVP. I'm going Shea for MVP. Like I said, Jokic is doing great things, but he's going to continue to do great things. What is he going to be? A 10-time MVP? Like we're gonna get that shit to a 10 times.
He
Like
could.
we have. Well,
I was
we
gonna
could,
say
but
honestly, this
but
might be the.
okay,
I mean,
let's not shine light on what Shea's doing. Like, bro is on a 62 game streak of scoring 20 points or more, which is like LeBron, KD, Wilt Chamberlain type of Michael Jordan type of shit. So it's like we can't let that shit go unnoticed either, just because Jokic is having great moments too that may look greater, like the 30-20-20, that may look better than anything Shea has did this season in some people's eyes, but it's like we have to give that man the respect and what he's doing for his team, how young they are too.
If they add an offensive player of the year, would you give Shea that and then just let Jokic have MVP? Because in my opinion, Jokic is clearly the MVP. Shea is the offensive player of the year.
I think Shea played great defense, bro. Better than
I would say
Jokic,
I might
honestly.
if so
I
word
still
it.
think Shea is still most
I'm not saying he
valuable
doesn't play
Yeah.
in the
great.
NBA right now.
I'm not saying he doesn't play great defense. I just think he would get that award and Jokic would get that because Jokic has the analytics behind him. He has the triple doubles. He has the 30-20-20. He gets the counting stats. Because if we're being honest, Shea's stat lines most nights look like 50 points or 40 points and then like a couple rebounds and a couple assists. What do Jokic's stat lines usually look like? About 20 to 30 points with like 15 rebounds and 15 assists, also with like maybe a block or a steal.
I wouldn't say 20 to 30. It's kind of like 15 to 25.
You're
That
right.
makes
You're
it
right
tough,
sometimes,
'cause
but
honestly,
but his averages
yeah.
that but his averages though. So
When I bet on the nigga, he scored 12 points.
okay,
When I
yeah,
put money on Jokic, he's scoring 12 points,
yeah.
which is cool. But like, but
Yeah.
I just think the impact that Shea is having on his team, which is like it's hand in hand with Jokic is adding for that team. I feel like that man has to get his flowers at some point. It's like they're not putting the offensive player of the year award in there right now. So I'm gonna definitely go Shea.
I just don't know if I'm gonna give it to Shea this year because of the same reason that I would have given it to Shea so many years in the past. Because I think right now, if you take Shea off of the roster, they're still a competent team. They're not gonna. They might not even make the playoffs because. Hold on.
I've been thinking
hold
about
on,
that.
Hold on. They might not even make the playoffs because it's the West. But They still got Jalen Williams, who was an all-star this year, budding off. They got Chet, who's about to be an all-star next year, if not the year after. Let's not lie. Chet's amazing. If he plays a full season, he's an all-star, and he's maybe even all-defensive first or second team, maybe even like maybe not all the NBA, but you guys get the point. He's an amazing guy for them and whatnot. But you take Jokic off the Nuggets, man, you're talking about a team led by Jamal Murray. That's what you're talking about right now. Who's a guy whose all-star years are in the past, mind you. I love Jamal Murray, and he still can go off for
I don't know what
50,
happened to him.
You know what I mean? He can go off for 55
he
like he did like yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I love Jamal Murray. He still does great things. But he ain't no Jalen Williams or Jamal Murray.
Got his contract. I'm gonna take the younger guy.
But
so,
I'm saying,
in my opinion, that's why Jokic gets the MVP, because I think you take Jokic off the team, it's going to be more valuable of a
I like
miss.
how you said
and
that.
That's why I think Shea should have gotten it the last couple years, because those young guys hadn't progressed yet. And if you took Shea off the team the last couple years, they were the Pistons bad. They were losing 40 games in a row because Jalen Williams wasn't consistent yet. Chet Holmgren was injury prone and this, that, and the other, just like he kind of is right now, but still not comfortable in the NBA yet and whatnot. But that's my opinion on it. Keep going.
But I want to say this, though. But if you take Shea off of that team, does it give Jalen Williams the room to progress to who he is? Jalen Williams ultimately was able to turn into a superstar because he didn't have to shoulder the weight of being a superstar immediately. So I feel like you taking Shea off that team fucks up the whole progression of all of
but we're not talking about like past progression. We're talking about right now this year.
Well, I'm talking.
And he came into this year just as an all-star.
I'm talking about most valuable.
Because I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't know if we're looking at the MVP conversation.
But I do wonder, like, if you take Shea off that team, I think that they definitely are motivated by the fact that he's having an amazing season and they're playing.
No doubt. I give you that.
They're doing well because he's doing well. And like I said, I don't want to take away from them, but I don't know how good this team would be. And it is like Antoine was saying, not just if he wasn't there this year, but that progression too. And it's hard to talk about progression because does it matter? In this conversation,
are we putting that in an MVP conversation?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because like you help progressing your team.
So what? CP was the MVP of the year. He went and played with the Thunder because he had a 0.2 chance to make the playoffs, and he progressed Shea into the MVP caliber that he is now. Because now, shit.
But CP3 doesn't have the resume that Shea is having along with this. Like, I'm not just saying the progression alone is what's getting Shea in that conversation, but then you have him with the help of progression.
I think you put a little too much of Jalen Williams' progression onto Shea at this point, saying that's a big piece to put in.
I'm not saying for Jalen Williams. I'm talking about for the whole team in general. Like, all of those guys being able to play their brand of basketball. You got to think about it. Without Shea on that team, they would be asked to do totally different things than they are. Like, so if Shea is not there to do X, Y, Z, if Shea's not there to hit those clutch shots, who's going to hit the clutch shots for them?
The more you talk, the more I hear you out. Yeah, for sure. I'm not saying that I just don't hear you out for sure, but
like I don't definitely want to like give another man's credit for hard work on another, but just like we've all seen that shit in life. Just like being able to have a guy that is so confident in his abilities will make you be like, if bro is thinking that, I'm with that too. And I feel like that's what Jokic does for the Nuggets too. Sometimes, I feel like those guys are definitely past their primes. So I feel like if you put Jokic on the team for the young guys, it will have a similar effect.
Who's past their primes?
But I guess I hear you though.
Like Jamal Murray and like Aaron Gordon.
I do hear you though, whereas like Shea's, for lack of a better term, like his aura and like just his actual play definitely has motivated the guys on the Thunder to play a lot better than Jokic's has motivated the Nuggets to play better, because Jokic has a lot more of a does he even care about basketball vibe around him, whereas Shea like bleeds basketball. Like every Instagram post he makes, he's either walking in or out of an arena, or it's a picture of him crossing somebody up or laying somebody up, like doing so like he's definitely got that like leadership kind of like vibes around him, whereas Jokic just kind of is leader by default. He doesn't really lead the team. He just happens to be one of the best centers in NBA history.
Bro,
I don't think that's true.
Bro just happens to be the shit.
Because I think Jamal Murray's the vocal leader.
I mean,
honestly.
I think that's like subjective. I think that's Jokic's team. I think he's the leader,
Well,
bro.
of course, yes. I think he's the leader, but like I said, I think it's just by default because he's the best player. I don't think he goes
I
out
think
there
that's
and he's
okay.
like, I don't think he's out there and he's like, all right, guys, let's go, like pointing out and shit like that. That's more of like Jamal Murray probably because he's the point guard and
Mhm.
he's kind of just got a little bit more fun. Like you see Jamal Murray hit a shot in the playoffs and he's and going crazy. You see, I
Yeah,
mean,
he's the
not to say
energy guy.
Jokic don't do that, but he just don't really do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Honestly, sometimes when I watch Jokic, it's like hard for me to ignore the defense.
Oh my
I
gosh,
get
yeah,
like
it's so
super
hard to ignore that
frustrated about it.
sometimes.
There'll be spots where like based on his size, he should be able to just like swat the ball out of the way and
Yeah.
get like a super like Shaq like block, and then someone grabs the board and they got the ball, but he just lets it like get scored. And
Mm-hmm.
that's so frustrating to me. Like so anyways, to circle back to like the offensive player of the year, I might um want to give it to Jokic and make
Okay,
it
so
Yeah.
swap
the
from what
When
I
MVP.
you
said.
when you said that, I was thinking that. I was
Um,
kind of like,
and
oh,
it's
yeah, who
because
gives
of the
Jokic
defense,
more?
because I think about defense a lot when it comes to the conversation, just because there's not an offensive player of the year. So it's maybe we should just make the MVP like consider it offensive and not even think about defense at all, though,
I
just
kind of
because there
think
is
that's
a
almost
defensive
what
player
it's
of the year award.
turned into almost. I mean,
Yeah.
ever
We
since
haven't seen too
ever
many depoy
I
MVPs.
think ever since yeah, besides Giannis literally. I think other than since the Westbrook Harden era when like Westbrook averaged a triple double and Harden was going off for like 35 points a game and we were looking at them for like 2-3 years in a row like oh my god, who's MVP, who's MVP. I think ever since then it kind of changed the era of the NBA MVP uh just stratosphere because you got to think that was literally piggybacking off of Curry's first unanimous MVP ever. And let's be honest, young 2016 Curry wasn't like super known for his defense. He could pick off a couple steals and like
Average defender.
play some good passing lanes, but yeah, he wasn't like a defender. He was just an offensive. He was just dripping on motherfuckers every damn day. So like
Uh,
like you know what I mean? I feel like that moving into the Westbrook Harden thing and them being so offensive heavy and not really being known for their for their defense whatsoever. If anything, the best on defense out of all those three that I just said is Westbrook, and Westbrook's not no he never made no all defensive team or anything like that. I mean, I think he made a all defensive team back in college in UCLA, but I mean that's in college. But so like I mean I don't know. I just think that's the MVP award now. It's just like you said. It's kind of like an Offensive Player of the Year award almost now. Like I don't really think people
Yeah.
care about defense unless you just so happen to be Giannis and be the best offensive player the same year that you are the same defensive player. Like it
Mhm.
just has to fall in your lap that way. Otherwise, it's just gonna be that. And I think analytics just push Jokic's
that was a yeah, bro.
like his
That's what my
narrative.
head at.
Yeah, and I think that's
Just
where it's
my
gonna go
opinion
to.
on everything, bro. I think the MVP should go. I think where it is now is the best player in the world on the best team should win. I think that's where like the voters are at. I think that's where the media is at. I think that's where I don't know if the players vote for MVP or got like you know how they do All Star where they
Yeah,
do media votes and all of that. Regardless, I think SGA should be the MVP. And the only reason why I'm saying this is because obviously he didn't get it last year.
yeah,
Like that's probably the main reason why all of us really want him to win is because he didn't get one, and we've seen
Yeah.
Jokic get three of them. Like Jokic has been taking that award every year, and like rightfully so. He's not just not
Yeah.
hooping, but here's the only difference that I'm noticing: Jokic is probably in a weird way playing the best basketball of his life right now in this season.
yeah.
Now, with that
And that's
being
to
said,
say something, dude.
that's the scary part. But
Yeah,
with that being
Mhm.
said, they're not winning as much as they were the past, let's just say 3 seasons. When they're winning, they're not no
I
slouch
just don't know
team.
if that's
But
his
I
fault,
just
is
think
what I'm thinking.
no, it's not. But what I'm saying is, okay, SGA is the best player on the best team. He plays defense. He shows up. The way that he elevates his team, the way that he elevates the NBA, what he's been doing this year. I just think it's more effective and it's more valuable than what Jokic has been doing
You know what?
for the Nuggets.
Hearing every single one of you guys keep saying it, I think it's just like beaten into my brain enough now. I think I totally like just fully agree now. I get it. Yeah, y'all right. Y'all right, dude.
No,
like
he
just
look
he
at
just
with me too. Like,
I love
no,
like,
Jokic is
Jokic, bro.
great.
yeah.
I
like I
love
see
Jokic,
Jokic's
bro.
greatness,
But like,
but every
I
time I
love
wake up and
Jokic.
check my phone, I'm like, SGA really is that guy,
And you know
though.
what's funny
Like,
too?
Like, bro.
I look at Twitter here and I have a notification sitting here, and it almost just like proves y'all's point even more that Shea should just have it. It says Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is shooting 58.2% on 2-point field goals this season. This percentage would put him above Shaquille O'Neal's 99
Come on,
2000
bro.
MVP year, where he shot 57.5%. You're
yeah,
telling me
the thing
Shea is
is,
shooting better from 2-point than the damn center who was only
then
dunking
Shaq
the
under
ball?
literally, like, bro,
Like,
that, bro. The shit looks too
that's
easy for
work.
Shea.
And
Like,
that's the
it
thing
looks
too,
too.
yeah.
I love that. I love that consistency between Shea and Jokic. Like the game just looks so fucking
Hell
easy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like the one highlight I saw from the Bucks game was like he was within the 3-point line and he was like in the corner kind of he was on the baseline and he like did a fake shimmy and shot it and it just looked so effortless. And he just walked off and just looked. And I was like, bro, like you niggas is not challenging this man right now. Like,
no,
bro,
for real.
that was the
I
look
was
of
gonna
somebody
bring
who
up
was
the Bucks
like,
game
this shit
because
nothing. Bro was
that's
like,
something I
come
was
pick me
thinking
up.
about heavy today when I was trying to think about MVP because I think about it every day because, like I said, it changes. But the Bucks have
Yeah.
been so dominant recently; they've been like the best team they've been all season, and so going into last night's game, I was like super like this is gonna be this is gonna be a good battle. Like this is gonna really
Hell yeah.
sure that the Bucks are a contender.
Right, like
And
push
then, like you
Giannis into
said, it's
that
just
real
easy for
MVP
him.
conversation.
Like,
Bust that ass.
like the Thunder didn't care about the Bucks matchup. They just were playing basketball and they came in there and just mopped the floor with the Bucks.
Yeah.
I'm glad
Are you saying?
I
I
was
just want
supposed
to
to
ask
go
one
to the
small
game, but I'm
question.
glad that I didn't go to the game because I didn't have to witness it.
Are
Oh,
you
you
saying
didn't
that that
go?
game meant more to the
No, it didn't end up working out.
Bucks?
What's up?
Are you saying that game meant more to the Bucks than it meant to the Thunder?
I think going into it, yeah, at least fan wise, I think
Yeah.
that
Yeah, and
I
that
also
definitely that should tell you where things are and how good they are, bro. Like the
exactly.
Bucks aren't, yeah, bro.
I think it should mean more for the Bucks just because the fucking Thunder have been whooping everybody's ass. Every super team we think is like a super team or a super put together team, the Thunder have poured out that belt for their ass this season. And like people have beat the Thunder also, but it's like the fact that the Thunder are so young and doing the shit. Like all these other teams are seasoned vets being put together, like I said. These are young guys who only resume is really just being with the Thunder, and they're whooping out belt on every single team. So it's like I think for any like big team that wants to contend for the playoffs, have like a real run in the playoffs, you want to prove that you can beat the Thunder because to be the best, you have to beat the best, and they are the best team in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
it's
I'd
like,
say just because of the nature of it, there's more than 5 teams that are trying to prove that they're top 5 or like could prove that they're top 5. And I feel like the Bucks are one of those teams, but the Thunder are like above that even. The Thunder can prove
Oh
that they're
yeah.
the best team in the league. And like they don't really even need to prove it. I think it's just unanimously agreed.
I
So
think
I feel like
going
them and the
into
Cavs are like neck and neck, like
Yeah.
one and
Cavs are definitely
I
up
think
there.
they're 1-1, especially with like their matchups that they've had this year. Because the piggyback off of what you said just a second ago, Antoine, like with like how like nobody's really been a problem for the Thunder at all this year until they come up against the Cavs. Not that they've been a
Yeah.
problem, but that their games have looked really competitive, and I think they split the season series. So it's just like, man, if we got that finals, of course, like how many years do you actually get the 2-1 seeds to make it all the way and go? But man, that would be a 7-game series to watch because those are two teams that, like we've been talking about all pod, are built
Man,
from point A all the way to point
Yeah.
Z.
that'll
But
be
the,
Head to
so
toe.
fun to watch, bro.
Yeah,
the
and
thing
those
with
are the
Thunder
teams that I
is
think they are worried about. And I don't know this. I just feel like the Celtics and the Cavs, specifically the Cavs, are the teams that when the Thunder play them, they're like, all right, this could be finals competition.
Yeah,
So
like
I'm
we
gonna
got to worry
like
about
lock
this
in.
one. Yeah.
I don't think they think that way about anybody in the West. I don't think they're like, ooh, Western Conference Finals. I think they're just like, yeah, I could see them in the playoffs because they're in my conference. But I think the Cavs really are the only team they're worried about, and the Celtics a little bit, just because they're fully formed teams.
Right.
The
Plus, I
funny
mean,
thing
you
is,
got to give respect to the returning champs always, no matter what
Yeah,
their
you have
team
to,
fully
you
looks
know,
like. Yeah.
Always,
especially because they
always.
look exactly the same, if
Yeah.
not better.
Right.
So you know
the
that
thing about the Thunder
they're
is,
scary for sure.
The only time we didn't respect the returning champs was when Kawhi left the same summer that he won a
oh
championship.
yeah,
Like,
for sure.
let's be
Like,
honest.
And even then,
Kawhi.
Toronto was like, "Yeah, we ain't making it back."
Yeah, they were
yeah,
like, nah,
for
bro,
sure.
just
Like
wrap
that
it
was a
up
good
for us.
run.
Yeah. But the thing about the Thunder is they've been thugging it out without their number 2 option. When you think about Chet, like
Nah,
Chet's
for
been
real.
kind of in and out. It's
Yeah.
like they've
Yeah.
been thugging it out without having their 100%. Like they might be like 95, 90% potential, but it's like we still haven't seen Chet get to his superstar status, which is good, just ultimately going to propel the Thunder to even more a crazy team. But I think they definitely need to hurry up and win soon because they're not going to be able to pay all of those guys.
It's exactly what I was
appropriately.
about to say. I'm glad you
Chet,
transitioned
Yeah.
to that.
Chet's a $200 million guy. Jalen Williams is showing that he's a $200 million guy. You got to play. You got to you got to pay Lou Dort like 100 or something. Like you got
gotta pay
Especially because at
everybody.
this point he's like loved
Yeah.
by the fan base. So a dude like Lou Dort, you're paying money to. Like the fans
And
are almost
he's
gonna
a
pressure
defender.
you into that. Yeah.
Bro's a pure defender. It's like you can't let a Lou Dort walk out the door thinking, "Oh, he doesn't produce for us." It's like every time I see Lou Dort, bro's no Diddy on his hands and knees, like let's go. You know, like,
Yeah,
bro,
dog, bro.
bro's
You
trying
gotta
to
pay
get it.
those dogs, man. You gotta pay those dogs. Obviously,
Yeah,
SGA got his back. But bro,
yeah,
Jalen Williams gotta get paid
No
this
doubt.
summer.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
he's the free agent this summer. So that's already another super max. And then,
Yeah, that's gonna be an
bro,
interesting free agency.
yeah. Chat has a player option for 2026, but like realistically, they should get him an extension, bro. Like that's another max player,
Right.
That's
man.
what I'm saying. Like, you don't want to let none of those guys walk.
No doubt.
Nah, you can't. But that makes it interesting because you know who's else a free agent this summer? His name is Kevin. You know where Kevin's going? To the Thunder. I'm
Back
telling you guys,
home.
he's
I
That's
like
what,
that
bro.
tweet that I
coming
saw you. Oh yeah,
home.
I'm hearing you.
Coming
I said I'm
home.
Bro,
hearing all
didn't,
that.
didn't I tell y'all that?
Hold
No,
on.
When
we
we did
definitely
this,
talked
No,
about this.
well, I said that in the pod. That shit.
coming
I was like,
home.
bro might be going
Coming
home because
home.
he hit it at that shit
Tell
game.
the world
Did you see that?
coming
Did you see?
home.
He did an interview. He did an interview with somebody, and they
Hey,
was like, "Well, like, where will your career end up at?" And he was like, just the way he was talking about it was just like, because everybody made it seem like he wanted to retire a Warrior because of what he did over there. But the way he was talking about was kind of like,
No,
I'm
we
going home
definitely talked
anywhere. It's
about it
going to
because you
go
were
like
saying
hell yeah.
Thunder,
OKC.
and then I was like, maybe he could be talking about Seattle and an expansion, and then Tawan had said, don't even sleep on
The
Washington,
I was gonna say
Wizards,
then he
hell
talked
yeah.
about the
Yeah,
Wizards in that conversation. I
not
remember
Yeah.
that.
Washington, but DC.
Yeah.
What's crazy
But
is, bro, I was gonna make one last point about that.
yeah, you're good.
Um, the reason why I also think that KD is coming back is because Russell also can opt out of his 3.4 million contract and literally sign with any team he wants. So what if they both go back to OKC this summer
It'd be
and
beautiful.
their career there? That'd be so
yeah.
cleary.
Bro, the way things have been
That'll make
going,
the
I would
10-year
not
old
be
me happy.
surprised.
Bro, wouldn't that be dope, bro? Like
That'd be
that'd be
That'll
nice.
make
so
10-year old me
dope.
happy as shit.
And
For
they
real.
both go win a ring with SGA and bro, get they tire, bro. That'd be
And then they
dope.
get those like
That'd be
dark
dope.
blue with the white jersey, with the white jersey. You know what I'm talking
Bro,
about? Those ones
that would be
back.
like when there was like a
Yeah, I know
trilogy
what
of movies in the 90s, and then they come back like 20 years later and they're like number 4. That would be what the vibes would feel like.
Nah,
bro.
for real, bro.
I remember when I was a shorty gang, the one thing I wanted for Christmas that nobody ever got me was a Thunder hat. Back when Russ and like Eric Maynard and all those
Man,
guys on the team, I wanted a Thunder hat for Christmas. Nobody ever got me that gang. And then
Westbrook made that
we-
Thunder hat like fire, bro. He was always caught wearing that OKC flat brim. I remember that shit all the
Yeah,
time,
bro.
and he had
Oh,
them
bro,
big
I
old
wanna-
goofy glasses and shit.
Bro, I wanted the Thunder snapback with the brim of the hat pulled up like Lil Wayne. Like, bro, that would have been my look when I was
Yes,
like 12.
sir.
But my mama was like, no, I'm gonna get you
No,
some socks and drawers.
dude.
She's like, I'm gonna get some socks and drawers. No hat for me.
All right, let's
But yeah, let's talk about Luca before we hit the break.
Yeah, I was gonna say we got a couple more games we gotta swing through, so I was gonna try and swing through those real quickly. What do you have to say though?
I was just saying Luca in general. I mean, elephant in the room, LeBron got injured.
That was
But
actually the
Man,
next game I was gonna talk about, so I'll slide into
yeah.
that real
Yeah, we'll
quick.
start there.
Yep. Dang, I don't even have the date written down for this one, so that's on me. I'm assuming it's also the 7th, but who knows exactly.
I don't remember the date either.
That's all right. LA played Boston. They lost 101 to 111. It ended up being a really good game. Luca had 34 with 8 boards. Braun was 0 for 6 from 3, so that's pretty tough. Jaylen Brown with 31 points, 6 boards, and 3 steals. Jason Tatum with 40 points, 12 boards, 8 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Just a stat sheet filling performance. After the Lakers were on a 8-game win streak, or before this game, the Lakers were on a 8-game win streak, and then the Celtics kind of snapped that win streak. Braun exits the game midway through the fourth quarter with a groin injury, and he's been out since. So that's been the talk. I mean, as of just what I think it was a couple nights ago now, maybe like 3 days ago now, they said that he's day to day now, so he should be back probably by the end of this week, I would say.
That's Braun.
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Yeah, that was definitely a bummer for sure.
Yeah, because he was supposed to be at the game we went to.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like at the time I was definitely super focused on that, and I was like, "Fucking LeBron got injured," and that's
Yeah, I'll be pissed
but
off as fans. I'll be pissed
um,
off.
Yeah, I was
but
gonna
in
say.
retrospect, I think the NBA did a really good job like marketing this game as like a rivalry game and really pushing that. And I think the players on both teams were into it, and they played it like it really mattered and wanted to prove that the Lakers Celtics rivalry is obviously alive again for the first time it has been in like a decade at
Yeah.
least, probably. But so that's really interesting, and I feel like I was happy the NBA was pushing that, even though at first I was like, how come LeBron played so many minutes? It's not fair.
Right.
But I am happy that a rivalry game like that was so like it was like a real rivalry, you know, and we don't get that. We talk about how we want that, and so that was cool to see. Um, big performances all around. That I felt like Jason Tatum really led the team well. And Jaylen Brown played really good defense. I felt like there were a couple steals that were really momentum shifters.
Yeah.
Uh, that definitely kept it competitive in moments where it felt like the Lakers might win. But overall, the Celtics are just dogs, so they weren't gonna go home with a
Yeah,
loss.
no doubt. And then losing, I
Yeah,
mean, a guy like LeBron, even at 40 years old, late in the game like that, I mean, that's going to kind of tank your chances. That dude is
man.
got
Yeah,
clutch written across his forehead. So, I mean,
that's
when you lose
definitely a
that guy,
momentum killer.
yeah, you know what I
And
mean?
late in the game, that really morale matters when you're going head to head like that, and it's so close. But I still think the Celtics would have won, though. It seemed like they were kind of controlling it, and I feel like that's why LeBron might have even overextended himself a little bit.
Hmm. But yeah, moving on from that one, on the 9th, Kawhi ends up hitting a game winner over the Kings. I don't really have any stats down, but I just wanted to write that down and bring that up just because I thought it was quite cool. Even if Kawhi's out there only getting 17 points like he did in that game, he's still trusted as that guy to take a clutch final second shot. And kind of like what you were saying before the podcast, Antoine, it's kind of funny that even if it's a floater, no matter what Kawhi does, when it's a game-winning shot, he's making all of us kind of sit there for that extra second or two because he's gonna make.
A
He's
little toilet bowl.
yeah, it's almost like he
Yeah,
knows that shit's gonna bounce like 30 times before it goes in. So
when
that
I
was
was
pretty
watching
funny.
that clip, it was so reminiscent of that 2019 shot against Philly, where I really felt that. I was like, dang, Kawhi's still getting it.
Yeah,
Oh, what?
The Clippers are very fun to watch because of Kawhi and Harden, and it's like almost nostalgic to a point because
no
you got
doubt.
to
Yeah,
see these guys when they were rookies, and you got to watch Harden get his MIP and all that. And so it's just I really enjoy when old guys go off like that. Not that they're old; they're just older than like MVP
nah, they're
candidates.
old. It's okay.
They're
Definitely
old
are
heads.
old.
It's okay.
They're
Yeah,
old
they're old.
heads. It, it,
But
it, it, it makes us feel old that they're the old guys, but truthfully, they are the
Mm.
old guys of the
Yeah,
league now.
for sure.
it is.
They're the
I feel like
Jamal
if you
Crawfords
were
and
an
Vince
NBA
Carters.
player, it'd be like so weird to think about your age because as soon as you're in your 30s, you're like aging. When really for like adults, that's not true. You know, like you retire
Exactly.
when you're an NBA player, you retire a young person.
Yeah.
Literally.
But
Filthy rich.
just a real quick question for all of you, since we're trying to kind of slide through these games, just real quick, like, I want first thought, first number that comes into your head. How long do you guys think it's gonna take for this Sacramento Kings to completely blow it up again? Because in my opinion, this Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan thing, let's be honest, it's not. We just saw it in Chicago. I mean, come on, it's very reminiscent of exactly what we just saw, except they upgraded Vooch for
Yeah.
Sabonis. Like
That was a dumbass move.
yeah, like so.
Imagine being
Real quick,
Sabonis.
I want to
Yeah.
know, how long do you guys think they let this experiment go before they ultimately blow up a whole entire another experiment?
Bro, first thing I
Next
thought of
trade
when you said
deadline.
it,
Damn.
dang, I was like 2 to 4 years, so like 3 years.
I was gonna
Yeah, I
say,
think
yeah, I
Sabonis
think
is
it's a little
leaving.
bit longer, like they'll let it kind of play out like the Bulls
Like,
did,
yeah.
because you can't
Like,
just
I
give up
think they
that
might-
quick. But man,
Right.
you think they've given
don't
it like
think so.
one full season's worth of games, and they're
DeMar
like, nah.
34-5.
I
That's
think
the
they'll
one I
definitely
think
start
they'll move
raising
So, like-
questions,
So you don't think
like,
it'd be
in
a
that
complete
timeline.
blow up? You'd think it'd be more of a retool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it'll be a complete blow up, but I think we're going to start seeing pieces being moved as early as like it's some big pieces.
So
like,
similar to how like the Bulls have been
unfortunately,
doing
I would hate,
past
but
2
I can
years.
I can see them shipping off like a Zach again or a Malik Monk, like hopefully not, or Chris Murray, like Keegan Murray, like
Just
I
shopping.
see them trying to like move one of those guys to try to make it fit. Like DeMar is getting older, and that's unfortunate, but there's not too much he's going to be able to keep doing for your organization over the next 2 to 3, 4 year seasons. So that's why I feel like next trade deadline we're probably going to see another big move from the Kings, especially if they don't have a hot start to which they think. Like right now, it's pretty cool because they're still new. But once you have the off season, then you come back and you go through October to February. If they don't see the results that they want, they're ultimately going to start moving pieces. I feel like just because all of their core guys right now are older, so it's like we need to get rid of these niggas now before they name get tarnished even more.
Yeah. Swan, how long did you say? I know
Yeah.
Michael said like about like 2 to 4 years, like about the same amount of time the Bulls
Yeah.
kind of went with it. Is that what you were thinking as well, or?
So where my head was at is I seen a report about Sabonis like being unhappy in Sacramento. So with that being said, like Antoine took the words right out of my mouth. If next year they're not winning games, and obviously like he has his contract, like he's supermax player. They got to pay him regardless. But if they don't win games and he's reporting of like being unhappy, I think you got till you got till the deadline to make moves if they're not winning. I think Sabonis
Yeah.
leaves by next deadline. I'll just be completely honest.
Yeah, because I don't
Like,
think
it's
that
not.
this team is going to be
Yeah.
one to like really win a championship with or build around or anything like that. So that's why I was like, man, I just watched this Kings team, and it's so sad that we're only like a month and a half removed from the trade deadline, and I'm already like, what's the next move? What's the
Yeah,
next
bro.
what's the next version of this Kings team gonna look like? Because this wasn't it.
I
Yeah,
think
man.
I don't think they're going to win anything because we got the Thunder with their
Right.
team. They're here to stay.
Like,
West
how
is
did they
super
look in the
Rockets,
books and
bro.
say, yeah, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Domantas Sabonis, that'll beat the Thunder, and then
Bro,
close
you
the
got
book
the
and be all right
Rockets.
with that?
The Rockets are on the up and coming. You also got the Spurs on the up and coming.
Yeah.
Like you got all these teams that we can see that these teams are going to be championship teams within the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think
man.
the
Once
team.
you
I don't think the
once you
teams are going.
fire
They might be a top 10 team, but they're not going to be. I don't think they're going to make the finals. Like I don't believe in nothing they got going on, and that's no disrespect to them. But it's like when you see the future of all these other teams, you having a 32-year-old, and a 35 and 6-year-old, and DeMontis getting up in age. I don't see nothing coming from that.
They're
once they got rid
definitely
of Mike Brown, it
competitive,
was over with.
but come playoffs, they're not a threat to any team.
Who you
Yeah,
said there?
Mike Brown.
Talking to me. I mean, yeah, bro, you can't fire your head coach who's been nothing but a great coach. Like you can't ship him off in the middle of a season, and that in return you got De'Aaron Fox who also wanted to leave. So you can't do
No,
that.
yeah.
Like you just can't do that.
Yeah, I hope that teams shy away from that, and that's not a thing. Just firing your coach mid-season because
Like
it's
a
super.
coach of the
It's
year.
like a huge
Like what are we
morale
doing?
killer, and then you have to hire a coach into a mid-season thing, which is not a good way to hire an
Yeah.
employee. You know, like that's just shitty
Yeah.
to that employee. It's shitty to the players to be like, hey, it's not working out, so we're just gonna start rebuilding mid-season and see how it goes. Good luck out there. Like,
Yeah,
you
for real.
know,
Like,
that's
come
like
on,
not what your
man.
mentality should be.
No.
You know, you build your team in the off season, you make trades till the trade deadline, and you stick with that until the end of the season, and then you make those decisions when the games are over.
When it's a clean slate, you know.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
But doing that shit with doing that shit with like 40% of your games left is nuts.
Yeah, for real. Like, yeah, it's crazy to wait
Yeah.
until the trade deadline. So, honestly, I could hear y'all on them making moves by next year if they're not winning games early. But, moving on from that, from the Kawhi game winner and just a little bit of Kings talk. The MVP candidates, Shea and Jokic, have gone up against each other twice since our last podcast. In the first meeting, Shea dropped 40 points and got the W. And in the second game, Jokic went off for 35 points, 18 boards, 8 assists, and got the W for the Nuggets. So they kind of split the series in that little last 2 weeks. Nothing really much to say about that besides exactly what we've all thought. I mean, one day it feels like Shea could be the MVP, one day it feels like Jokic. So the fact that they split this series did nothing but make it harder for absolutely everybody to pick who the MVP is going to be this year. It's going to be one of the closer MVP races in a while, especially because Shea really is getting that actual push. So it's going to be an interesting one.
I thought that the Thunder were dominant through the series. I think a lot of times when there's a series like this in the regular season, normally the team that wins first loses second. It doesn't always happen that way, but you make adjustments because it just happened. So
yeah,
I feel like the Nuggets winning the second game isn't as important as the Thunder winning the first game to me.
Okay.
I got a random question that's off topic. Who are we thinking is going to grace the cover of 2K26?
That is so
Shea.
off topic.
Easy. Shea hasn't made one
I said
yet.
it was off topic. So
He's got once again, for lack of a better word,
That's a three-time
bro,
MVP.
Who?
Jokic has never been one, and he's a three-time MVP.
bro, he ain't the
I don't
type
see
to
his
make a
cover
cover.
going up,
Bro,
though.
PG
I
never
don't
got an
think
MVP.
either, but
He's
you
on the
gotta
cover.
give him
PG,
flowers.
PG and Anthony Davis have never done anything major in their career besides be promising at one point in their career, and they made the cover.
I can see it being
Love
Shea.
I guess you
Death,
also
but-
got to like sign the deal. So does
Yeah, you
Jokic
just
care
gotta-
about 2K.
I think the Jokic cover would be like, and
Yeah.
that's no disrespect to him, but it's like most guys, like the 2K covers that hit be having that aura, you know.
That's why I was like,
Like-
Shea got it.
Like Shea got that aura right now.
could-
That's like you can't deny what bro has busting right now.
No,
If-
I wanted it to be him last year.
If Shea doesn't
not mad.
care
I
about
like the
it,
Tatum
another
cover,
one
but I
I could
wanted it
really
to be
see,
Shea.
Cade Cunningham. I could see him being
That's a
on
good
the cover.
one. I almost felt like I knew you were gonna say.
You know what I mean?
He's-
Like him
he's
with
just
the
got those.
yeah, him
vibes.
with the glasses on and shit. Like he's definitely got some vibes where it's like, man, he's cover worthy for sure.
I could definitely see Ant being a choice, someone they reach out to, and he loves
Ooh.
media.
Dang, I
He
can't
does a
believe
lot
that
of
one didn't
marketing
pop into my
stuff,
head.
so-
He's damn near the main character of the NBA for the last like year and a half, like just because of
Right.
like you said, media and everything. It's a good one.
Damn, bro, they really gave Zion a 2K cover.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, yeah.
Just run it back, Luka Lakers.
I guess, yeah, Luka did have one already, huh?
But yeah, it's definitely a good take.
But
But kind of circling back, if the Thunder and the Nuggets meet in the playoffs, I'm still taking the Thunder for sure.
yeah, no doubt. I mean, they're a better built team, so I'm definitely taking the Thunder in that situation.
If you can bet against the Nuggets in the playoffs, man, it's hard to, because they won. Like they've been there. They got the pedigree. They got the
That's definitely
DNA.
true.
Like it's so hard to play the Nuggets in the playoffs, but to beat them, you gotta beat them. If you
And-
don't, yeah,
Yeah, and yeah,
you
Jokic
get
is
that.
one of those like playoff risers where like he does
Yeah,
really
so
good in
Jamal
the
Murray, too.
yeah, he like does
So
good in the
is-
regular season, but then randomly the playoffs come and he's Wilt Chamberlain and Jamal Murray's Michael Jordan, and it's like
And
okay,
who
you
knows
gotta-
what Westbrook's gonna do in that mix when everyone's getting
Man.
hot, and all of a sudden he's like, "This is that hot playoff." team."
yeah,
Yeah, bro. I would want to see it, but I don't know who would win. Obviously, we can say OKC, but experience plays a
Yeah,
role.
OKC
Everything plays a role.
is always the safe bet in the West, but
Hmm.
Yeah.
um,
Thought that last year.
I think we
yeah,
all thought that last year.
we all thought that.
Witness
But then,
that.
like you
Everything
said,
we just named play
experience
a
played a
role.
lot bigger of a role than we all thought it
Exactly.
would.
And we've also
Yes,
talked
sir.
about this, but I feel like it's still kind of glooming, and people are kind of forgetting about it. That like the Lakers and the Warriors are both contenders. I think the
Really
Lakers
fucking good.
that like Mark Williams. I don't know if Mark Williams is like a game changer, but I think that the fact that that trade didn't go through really made that they didn't get to finish their team building.
Oh
So
yeah, he would have been a game changer for sure, no doubt. I mean, he's not like necessarily like I hear what you're saying, like not just that he's a game changer,
yeah,
but that he's like
no, like he
like a
He
definitely
might be better than Jackson Hayes.
like yes, exactly.
like
Like I know what you're saying though.
right.
Like you don't know if he's going to be like a superstar, but
Yeah.
regardless,
Yeah.
that
No,
was
he
going to do
definitely would have been
something.
a super good piece.
Right, yeah.
Hell yeah. It would have turned
So
him up, bro.
Oh my
Like,
gosh, yeah, because
way,
like you said,
like,
Jackson
yeah.
Hayes is not that I mean,
yeah,
It's
not
all
even
right.
not even
he's one
Jackson
of the better
Hayes.
players
alright.
on my fantasy team, honestly.
Yeah, not even
Yeah.
Jackson Hayes. Jackson Hayes it would be decent, but Alex Len is the problem. They thought Alex Len would be the piece to pick up to help them out in their big man spot, and that
Yeah.
has done all but nothing for them. He is just a big
I
block
agree.
of nothing down there. He
They
literally
better
just
off wanting to
fills
get DeMarcus
space.
Cousins.
Like, man, they would have been better off going.
Pick up Boogie.
They would have been better off going to China and getting Dwight back ass back in the NBA. Like, come on, bro. Like,
But
I'm
the
going
other
DeMarcus Cousins.
big market
bro, either
caliber
or for
team,
real.
I think the Warriors do have a good chance still. I'm still on that. I feel like they're definitely a sleeper.
Yep.
That
You know
I
what?
think they're
Like,
11-1 since getting Jimmy
every team,
Butler. So yeah,
other teams have
13 and
nightmares
2.
about them.
13 and 2. I just looked up.
13-2. Okay, yeah. So it's updated since the last time when I checked. Obviously, I guess
Bro,
I checked a
yeah,
couple
bro.
days ago. Duh. But
You guys know
Bro.
we have this documented. I said them getting Jimmy Butler changes everything. Like
oh yeah,
we saw Jimmy Butler go to the finals twice with the Heat when Joel Embiid was still popping crazy and Giannis was popping crazy and and the Celtics were still a shit. We've seen Jimmy Butler do that shit twice.
Right, Jimmy Butler was right there
With
that whole
kind of
time.
nobodies. Like
Yeah.
nobody who did anything significantly. So having the greatest shooter, the greatest point guard to ever play the game, that's so deadly for everybody. Just when like I don't know what he does, but whatever impact bro has psychologically on the team to like dig deep and like go hard in the playoffs, that is a deadly weapon for everybody in the West. TBA.
No, we know
And
about their skill, Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry. We know
yeah,
that they can play the game for sure and that they're some of the best to do it. We know their mentality. They're both have that dog mentality that you need to have in the playoffs. And they both have experience, all the things you just said. So it's like
yeah.
that is a perfect recipe to win. And you got to put Draymond Green in there too, because
Yeah.
he's always been there for the Warriors, and that's a big
For
piece.
sure.
That's still there, something that you can count on. And
It's
he's
kind
been
of those
able.
new guys.
Yeah,
Those new guys are kind of the make or break. Because if I picture the Warriors losing, I picture the new guys being the problem. I feel like we're going to be like, fuck, man.
I feel like those guys are so good at
XYZ.
making their teammates better, though, that the holes that I keep talking about this episode is like Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry can patch those holes just by being on the team.
the only hole that I don't think they can patch, the only thing to counter you, because I completely agree with you, like literally wholeheartedly, is size. That's the only thing. Draymond Green being your tallest guy on the starting lineup is never going to work out if you're going up against like a Jokic, because I love Draymond, but Draymond maybe 2-3 years ago was doing shit to Jokic, but now I'm not putting
that's definitely
Draymond
a
Green
good
on
point.
Jokic. That's
Jokic
the
is
That's a
here for
good
the
point.
Warriors.
Brother,
Chet
I
is
have
here
50.
for the Warriors.
That's a good
Brother,
ass
I
one.
have 50.
What?
When Jokic told go bear, brother, I have 50.
brother. I have 50.
He's
like, you're not stopping me though.
Hey, brother, I got him. ISO. Brother, I have 50. Like, what do you have? You have nothing.
You ain't got shit.
Literally, like you should have been happy. I have 50.
No, yeah. So that's how I think he would be against the Warriors. But other than that, I honestly wholeheartedly agree with you. I think the Warriors are a huge dark horse, and I think despite a lot of people obviously knowing that they're like really good since these acquisitions, I still think they're a little bit under the radar, and I don't think people take them as seriously as they should. Like, I don't think anybody looks at the Warriors and says, yeah, they're going to make a deep push. They just think, oh, I mean, it's a possibility. Like,
I would not want to
in
play
a
them in
perfect
7
world. But
games.
no, exactly. I do
No, yeah, you
not
put
want to
yourselves
play
in the
them.
shoes of
Nah,
those NBA
bro.
players. Like, these are
Nah.
kids that grew up watching these guys play
Like,
basketball.
what?
Now they have to play against them.
And not only
They're
that, I feel
terrified.
like every one of those guys on that team have a bit of a chip on their shoulder. Curry's kind of looked past at this point. Everybody thinks he's just old and he's the 3-point guy, and even his late championship in his career, like in 2022, they thought, okay, that's the end of it for Curry. Like, that's the end of his career, kind of, like, in a sense of accolades and stuff. Butler, man, if he doesn't have the biggest chip on his shoulder ever since the Miami Heat debacle, I mean, I don't know who does, because maybe Karl Anthony Towns and him are the two guys with, like, the biggest chips on their shoulders since the trade deadline. And then you got Draymond, who just, like, kind of puts the chip on his own shoulder, but he literally always walks around with a chip on his shoulder. So, like, I mean,
Funny as
you know what I mean?
Bro got beef with his own mama.
You know what I mean? So, like, he kind of puts the chip on his own shoulder, but you got the, like, three leaders of the team, realistically, who are, like you said, going into the playoffs, hungrier than probably any other team just because of so many different reasons. And I think those are big reasons as well. And a big reason why every team should be worried about the Warriors, and every fan base should even be worried about. I think everybody should take the Warriors very seriously, just as seriously as the Thunder. I mean, honestly, I mean, we've talked about this before already. That
realistically, they might.
I was just gonna say,
they might have this.
Oh no, you go.
Okay. I was gonna say they might have the starting lineup with the most championship,
Dog, you're taking the word out of my mouth. That's literally what I was about to say. It was like what we just brought up, like, I think 2-3 weeks ago when the trade actually happened, when we did the trade deadline episode, that it's between them and Luka and LeBron for, like, who has the most playoff experience, and that's just because LeBron's been in the league for so long, and he's been in the playoffs damn near every single year, if not in the finals every single year of his career. So you
got Steph going like 5.
Yeah, you got Curry and Butler together. Like you said, that's either the most or the second most playoff experience in a duo right there. And that's the whole reason that we're worried about LeBron and Luka, is because they have such great experience between just those two guys that. And I feel like people, I don't know, maybe it's just a media thing and whatnot, but yeah, I feel like people take the Lakers a lot more seriously than the Warriors, when they should just be, like, even, if not the Warriors a little bit up.
The Warriors are 13-2. Like,
exactly.
They lost 2 games just getting the guy. I don't think they've had a run like that in 15 games all season.
Right.
Of, like, only losing 2 games within 15 games this season.
Yeah, both teams have looked just absolutely stunning since the trade deadline, besides the Lakers during this, like, little bump with LeBron being out. But when LeBron and Luka were together, I mean, like I said, they were on an 8-game winning streak, and the Warriors were also going off. So it was definitely looking like both of those teams made the proper decisions come trade deadline.
Yeah.
Well, you think we should kick into a break?
Yeah, we could definitely do that.
Yes, sir. I'm not going to lie. I do need a break.
Kicking back into things, we are continuing our series where we talk about every single team in the NBA, division by division per episode. So today we're going to talk about the Southeast Division.
Southwest. We talked about the
Southwest Division.
Yep.
Yeah, we talked about Southeast last week. You can check that out. But Southwest Division. Yeah, so I figure we start in Texas, start at the top, talk about the Rockets.
Oh, we're starting at the top this time. I like that, switching it up. That's cool. That's cool.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Rockets obviously have been having a hot season.
Oh my gosh.
They were originally based in San Diego from 1967 until 1971, and then they've been the Houston Rockets ever since. Their most notable era being the Hakeem era, when they won 2 championships. And he won the MVP DPOY the same year.
Yeah, it doesn't feel that notable to us because we're obviously a bit younger when it comes to the NBA stratosphere. So for us, it's like, Hakeem who? Not that we don't know who he is and we don't know about his
Hakeem.
legacy. Like
No,
we
yeah,
give
but
respect to him, but it's just like it's the same thing almost with like the Jordan shit. It's like, yeah, we love Jordan, but like from afar. We've never seen that shit live. We never experienced the feel of everybody in your area being like, "Oh shit, Michael Jordan's about to play in the finals." Like he's just going to like we never got to feel that vibe around the sport. So that's kind of
yeah,
just
and
what I feel
especially
like
with
it
the
is with
Rockets
Hakeem
too.
too.
There's like the Harden era that we can look at that
And
just
that's
happened a decade
exactly
ago.
what I feel like we would all
Um,
associate with the Rockets.
right, yeah, that's the next thing I was gonna say is they definitely came back around and have those two different eras that are super definable. And even like in between that, whether it's like Yao Ming or Tracy McGrady, they've definitely been a
Yeah,
relevant team for a
Man,
while
that
with
was
a lot
such
of
a
good
fun team on
players.
2K. Oh
yeah.
my
That was
gosh.
like my first taste of the Rockets. Was definitely Yao Ming
Oh,
and McGrady,
yes,
bro.
dude. I'm not gonna lie, when I first got into the NBA, when I was like hmm, I was
The old Rockets
ma-
symbol, bro.
yeah, I was maybe like 7 or 8 years old
Oh,
getting
that
into
shit.
the NBA. I thought, because like when you first get into a sport, obviously you don't really understand anything besides like the very
Hell
bare
yeah.
minimum. I thought Yao Ming was going to be the GOAT. Like in my head, it didn't make sense that somebody
Hey,
that was
man.
7'6" wouldn't be the GOAT. Like I genuinely thought
Yeah.
like,
Oh
dude,
God.
he's taller than
Nah,
everybody.
for
Just
sure.
reach
That's a
over people.
superhero,
Like,
bro.
yeah, exactly. Like he's literally Mr.
Hey,
Yeah.
Fantastic out there. Like he's out there
Nah,
just like
for real.
oh,
yoink. Like
he can jump higher. Just like if I was this tall, I could just do
right,
this. I could
yeah.
just
I
throw the
was like,
ball
why
up.
is he not just like the GOAT?
Easy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So like when I was a young kid, Yao Ming was like just anomaly to me, of course, because like I was just getting into the game. I didn't really understand it. So I was like, man, I mean, if you're the taller you are, the better, especially because in that era, like the guard league, like it wasn't quite yet a guard league. Like it wasn't like how it is now. Like there were still big men that were like dominating so much, like Dwight Howard and Dirk and other guys that were actually leading
Dirk.
teams to the finals. Whereas like it wasn't like so much like a guard league like it is now. So yeah, I
No,
thought
that
Yao
early
was gonna be
2000s
the
was a good
goat, dude.
mix of small and big.
Right. Yeah, it was that nice median era. Like honestly, that's like my I feel like every time or for everybody, like when they first got into any sport, that's gonna be their favorite era because it's like nostalgia and that always like rides a big part into it. But yeah, that era of sports for me is untouched because that's when I was really starting to get into basketball, football, baseball,
That's
everything.
cool
So
as hell.
yeah.
Mm.
I thought
That's cool as
but yeah,
shit.
I thought Yao Ming was gonna be the GOAT, dude. Like I thought there was no way anybody could touch that, man.
But for me, I think about those two championships a lot just because I think they mean more than people think they do. Because it's easy to be like, well, Jordan wasn't there, so just the next best team won. But that 95 chip, like Jordan was in the playoffs, and they ended up playing the team that
Wait,
eliminated the Bulls.
And I
What's
feel
up?
no,
like
That's a weird year.
and
That's a weird year for
and I
It
feel
basketball.
definitely is
like
a weird year.
Strictly
it's
for
not a
MJ.
bad thing
I'm
to
not
be
taking away credit though.
no, yeah. And I feel like it's not a bad thing to be looked at as the second best team to Jordan. Like if we're talking about Jordan is
Oh my God.
arguably
No,
the
I agree.
GOAT
I
and
just
he's the
like,
dude that like no. I'm saying like I agree to
Hell
your
yeah,
point that we don't give it enough credit
bro.
because like I feel like it should get more credit. Like it's not a bad thing to be second to the go. Like dude, Michael
Hell
Jordan
yeah,
took over
bro.
the '90s. They're the only
Yeah.
team to win in that whole entire era. That we should applaud that. Like they
Hell
did
yeah,
yeah.
that.
for
for
sure.
sure.
Like
That's
Hell
it.
yeah.
like that's
Some people,
amazing. Like because literally nobody else could do anything in that time era. Like everybody just walked into the playoffs and they were like, "Well, shit, we had a fun regular season, but
Yeah, bro. We need more respect for Hakeem.
It's
not
a
with
for
the
shame
real."
they
Hakeem
never
is a
saw each
fucking
other in the
legend, bro.
finals, honestly.
yeah, I would say everybody definitely discredits the first ring from the two P because it was like he didn't face Jordan because
Yeah,
that was
and
the
that
season.
and that like I can't argue against because Jordan wasn't there, you know? So who
Yeah,
knows what would have happened if he was
but
there.
the second one,
It's almost like, you know how many years that I cared about basketball before I found out that Jordan even played in the playoffs that year? Like
Yeah,
the old heads had me convinced that he didn't come back until the off season, you
not for
know?
real. I would have been
Um
convinced the same thing too.
Hmm.
yeah, so initially when I found that out, it stuck with me and I was like, dang, the Rockets really earned a chip in the Jordan era, and I respect that.
Yeah.
But like you guys are saying, that was a weird season, you know. So it's also like
Weird as hell.
the Bulls do get an asterisk, even though that's counter to my
Nah,
point.
Yeah.
They do get
bro,
they
I
get
feel like, bro, it's still so hard to win a championship, bro. MJ or not, like that shit's not easy,
No,
man. Like
yeah,
I like giving credit where it's due,
for
man.
sure.
The Houston Rockets deserve some praise for that. Like you were saying, Michael. Like, yeah, bro. No asterisks, no none of that. Let them live with their 2 little rings,
Oh yeah.
man.
and yeah, if you win an MVP and a DPOY in the same
Yeah,
year, like
like
that's
you the best in the
dominance.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah, you the best in
Plus,
the
he's the
world.
dude that has the most blocks to this day, and it's like a crazy number. Like he's over 4K blocks. Like,
Mhm.
come on.
I feel like also
What
his
the
footwork
hell,
like paved the way for the modern big man. He
bro?
really like was ahead of
Oh
his
yeah,
time in the way that he
footwork.
moved.
Like, yeah,
That
I was gonna
shake,
say, yeah, bro.
Sir
You
Dream
already know.
Shake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, bro, that's cool as hell. He was always one of my favorite players who I knew nothing about because obviously I was born in 2002. But like Hakeem Olajuwon, bro, him being Nigerian and the Nigerian nightmare, bro, like hearing that shit was like, okay, this guy was one of the ones who competed with MJ, like for being the best in the world.
Also, a little
Yeah,
That's
thing
just
that I
cool.
low key feel bad about with Hakeem, it low key, if we're being honest, it kind of sucks that he just changed, he added the H because nobody fucking pronounced his name properly, even though he was Akeem Olajuwon. It was just an A for the longest time, and
Bro,
he was
that's
like, fuck it, everybody keeps calling me Hakeem. I'm just gonna change my name. I kind of feel bad about that. Like, that's kind of some bullshit, bro. Like,
Giannis kind
hmm
of did the same thing
motherfucker should
though.
have just straightened the fuck up and just said his name
yeah,
goddamn right.
bro.
There was no H. Like, come on,
Hey,
bro.
Nah, I'm
you
with that.
Giannis kind of did the same thing though. I mean, his more like
He
he
changed
changed
his
before
name?
he was yeah, before he was famous, his family changed his name. It's actually like ADN Antetokounmpo
Damn.
instead of Ante. Ante is like a white people thing. So, well,
Uh,
specifically the Greek people changed their name,
bro.
but yeah, fun fact, it's not actually Antetokounmpo. That's
Yeah,
just
Some like
and I feel like that
Americanization.
is weird though. Like I agree with you.
yeah, bro. I got a couple friends who like obviously weren't born in America and they gotta come here and like legit whole new name,
Yeah,
bro.
no, I
Like
think about
first
that
name,
because even
first
if you
name.
play 2K, bro, like, and you do like the legit draft classes, when you draft Akeem, it's Akeem with
Yeah,
just
Yeah,
an
that's
A.
cool
And
as
then
hell.
after like 4 or 5 years, it just randomly auto changes because that's what happened in real life. And it's like, bro, what? Like, how do they even have like the racism integrated into the game? Like, what the
Like what
hell?
the
They couldn't
hell,
just
bro?
bro.
keep his name, bro.
Bro, if you
Yeah,
think
that's
about it
funny as
even
shit.
deeper, they got that integrated into like draft storylines. So random generated players probably change their name. Like people that don't even exist probably change their name just because that's something that has happened, unfortunately.
Oh god. Shall we move on?
Let's stick with the Rockets and just talk about that James Harden era a little bit more because obviously that happened in the season where Steph Curry and LeBron, the era where Steph Curry and LeBron are battling back to back every year, so it gets overshadowed. But that team is one of the most underrated teams that ever existed.
Mhm.
Yeah, for real. Just a couple threes away from beating the Warriors for real. If CP could have just made a three.
They chucked up like 50 of them.
Yep. I mean,
I
that's what
Bro,
they
remember,
were
they
doing. It was
missed a
small
lot of
ball.
them, bro.
I remember watching that game, just seeing how many shots they were shooting. I'm like, bro, go get a layup. Like, go get a two.
That
Like, why y'all
wasn't
keep trying to
that
shoot
wasn't
these
D'Antoni's
threes, bro?
system, bro.
I know, but I'm saying I just remember watching that shit, being like, bro, go get a layup. Like, why he just shoot that? Like, no, stop shooting. Like, yeah, I just
That's
remember
one of the
that
most
definitely.
memorable series for
Yeah,
sure.
'cause that
Yeah.
was
Just
crazy.
because I feel like everybody was rooting for the Rockets too.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was just rooting against the Warriors is really what it was. I don't even
Yeah,
think it was
people was
anybody was rooting
hating.
for the Rockets. I think everybody was just rooting against
Yeah,
the Warriors. As much as
Yeah.
I
yeah.
was rooting for the Rockets and I was one of those
Motherfuckers was
people,
rooting for the motherfuckers hated on it. They
yeah.
hated on it.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
was like when I was getting introduced to the league. So I really was just riding what you were saying. You're like CP3's on this team, man. And I'm like, all right, all right.
Yeah, I was heavy on that.
Bro, that was the game when they missed 27 threes in a row,
That's what I'm
bro.
saying, yeah.
Like, what the?
Yep.
That's crazy to
But
think
yeah, for
about.
real, to shed some good light on that era, that was definitely the era where Harden like averaged like what was it, like 36 points a game for a whole season. Like for first time to do that since Kobe in '04 or something like that, the year that we were all talking about earlier when Nash stole the MVP right under the rug from him. And But Harden actually
No.
got the MVP. He kind of almost like made up for
And
all that and went and got it.
it was cool
So
to see that. It was
yeah,
cool to
I've
see our own
definitely
little Kobe version
because
of
he scored
Harden,
like
bro.
what, like 35 or more, like 43 games in a row or something like
Yeah,
some
he had a
crazy.
lot of
bro,
great, like unbelievably
bro.
crazy numbers.
Yeah,
I
like
feel like that's debatably one of the best single like offensive seasons ever.
yeah. Like if they were
Yeah,
to add an
definitely.
offensive player of the year award, they better go back in time and give him one just for that season
Right.
as
Just
Nah,
as
that
for
well.
season.
real,
Even though
bro.
he
Don't
got
even look up
MVP
on the other
already, like
seasons.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He's the first one to get the MVP and the offensive player of the year in the same year.
Yeah, because like
It was
man.
15 years ago.
But wouldn't
That's
y'all
if the thing comes
consider?
out in like 5 years, but
But wouldn't y'all consider the offensive player of the year just the scoring champ?
Yeah, but then I guess
kinda.
it would just I just think it would be something that would be on people's resume to help out because I think with like everybody looking at accolades is such a big thing for Hall of Famers, even though I don't think it should be. I think it would just help with certain guys' narratives because you look at a guy like say D Rose, he only has one MVP, and I'm not saying he would have more accolades, but like he's just a certain guy that like you know what I mean, like
Yeah,
maybe somebody else would be better for the conversation. Um,
I get what you're saying though. Like his
like
resume would be.
Harden,
No,
Harden at the
but
end of his career.
you didn't have to D Rose because when you think about D Rose resume, would look good if he had something that said Offensive Player of the Year
Yeah,
added to it. It would be like he was Offensive Player of the Year
or
and
like,
MVP.
well, no,
So I
Russ
get
is
what you're saying
probably a
with
for
that.
sure Hall of Famer,
I
but
feel like the more we've
Um,
talked about it, the less I feel like it's necessary. But it's definitely a fun hypothetical.
I just think it definitely also helps with like certain like conversations like with Shea because you're gonna look back on Shea's career and are we gonna say that it was all that great when he got overshadowed by Jokic every single year? But when instead he could have been maybe winning a couple offense player of the years in that era and still getting some trophies at least under his belt and making his you know what I mean, like notoriety actually out there because I mean I feel like there are certain guys offensively that are just doing amazing things that don't get that love. I don't know.
Mhm.
hell yeah.
Personally, I really hate lax defense, so I hope that it never becomes a thing just because I feel like it would encourage players to not care about that aspect of their game as much.
You think so? I mean, there's still a defensive player of the year, and it still does add into MVP conversation as much as it's turned into an offensive award, like we've talked about. I mean, it still adds.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I agree with you. I just think there's because I hate lax defense, I would be nervous for it to
Yeah,
for just an offensive award to come because then everybody's fighting. They're like, well, I want to be the offensive player of the year. And you kind of forget about defense. And maybe it would make defense more important at the same time, though. Who knows?
transition to the next team.
We got to
Yes,
pick a franchise
safety.
player before we do
Ooh, we
that.
got to pick a franchise player and a goal, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
franchise
So for
player's
me,
got to
it's
be
Hakeem.
Akeem. Yeah,
Gotta be, yeah.
I mean, as much as we love Harden and whatnot.
Akeem.
Right. Like you wanna I mean,
They
Harden
came the
definitely
dream.
gets his flowers and I'd even say a statue, but
Akeem the
I don't even think they
dream.
have a Hakeem statue though, so
They
Yeah,
don't?
I don't think they have any statues really. I
yeah, I
mean,
don't think
What
maybe.
they do.
the
But like
hell?
they'd have to give Hakeem one before they gave Harden one. But
Yeah,
in
Hey,
a
no doubt.
best player,
scenario,
a
what?
franchise player, Kenny the Jet Smith.
You hilarious
He
for
was
that.
cool. I like running
Otis
back to
Thorpe.
Trevor Ariza. No, fuck it. Patrick Beverly.
Yes,
yeah, I mean,
young P Bev was crazy for
Patrick
them.
Beverly.
Yeah,
Patrick Beverly.
fuck it, Eric Gordon.
Oh God,
But
man!
we're
I used
pretty
to like Eric.
unanimous on
I
Hakeem
liked
then.
Aaron Gordon over there.
he was
Eric
the one
Gordon,
chucking
that was
them
fun.
Fuck
threes.
it, Ryan Anderson.
I fucked with Ryan Anderson
Actually,
over
yeah,
there.
Ryan
Rhino was good as
Anderson.
hell for a couple
Bro, the
years with
Rockets
them.
used to be my
And
team.
Dude,
The Rockets used to be my
that
team, like
Rockets 2K team,
2K17,
yes sir, bro.
2K16. Ask on them, but they know the Rockets was definitely my team.
P
That's
Bev
why
was a
I was.
lockdown and
Yeah,
he could hit a little three ball.
that's crazy.
But yeah,
That take me back. Ryan
definitely
Anderson.
Hakeem, right? Agreed, Hakeem's the guy.
Hakeem
Right,
has
right,
to be
right.
the best Rocket of all time.
Yeah, for sure.
And then yeah, I feel like we've talked a lot about the Rockets, and I feel like
Yeah.
generally when we talk about what their goal would be, it would be just like keep doing what they're doing and do the best they can to keep this team together despite money. If money gets in the way, then you got to choose between Jalen Green and Sengun, and I think Sengun's the option we've
I
leaned
was actually
towards.
gonna say that my goal
I'm
is a
with
little
you on
bit
that.
different. My goal is actually trade Jalen
Really?
Green and
Yeah, that's where I'm at. That's
get
where
a
I'm at.
solidified scorer because that's like the
That's
one
where
thing
I'm
that
at.
they still at
I
this
mean, yeah,
point.
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying
He's
we've
still
been
playing
leaning
little
towards
boy
like
ball.
sticking with
Yeah.
Sengun,
Yeah, I just
which
think
is
I'd rather stay
yeah,
with
trading
Sengun.
Jalen Green.
yeah.
Green gotta go, man.
Yeah.
Green gotta
It's
go.
just back to that, like, there's so many guards that, you want to value a
Yeah.
center over a guard if they're the same.
I don't like he's even
Yeah.
playing horrible. Like it's just the fact that, yeah,
So I don't
he's
have
kind of
these in order of
regressing.
standings. All right, so kicking on to the next team, talking about the Spurs. T had to dip out, so it's just going to be 3 for the rest.
Little
But
3-man
that's
weave
fine.
action.
We love it.
Hey.
So the Spurs actually started in Dallas as the, I don't want to butcher this, Chaparrals. I also don't know what that means.
I just
Chaparrals?
we used to just call them
Yeah.
chaps.
I just learned that
We're not-
today.
We're going to go with the chaps. I also was a little worried because I don't know what a chap is. Is that like pants?
I mean, if it's
No.
if that's what the long version of that word shortens to, then yeah, chaps are like something a cowboy used to wear. So that's why they probably
Yeah,
changed it to
okay,
Spurs because that's something also a cowboy wears.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That makes a lot
chaps.
of sense. But yeah, when they moved to San Antonio, they
Chaps.
started in 1967. They moved to San Antonio 1973. That's when they became the Spurs. Back on the chaps, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say they say chaps were used for cowboys to protect their legs from bushes, thorns, and other elements, while providing grip to the saddle to keep the rider more secure.
Yeah, I knew it was just like extra layer on top of the pants, but I just didn't know the exact purpose. That makes a lot of sense.
It's interesting.
A little bit of cowboy talk on the pod. Whoa.
Mhm.
And San Antonio, they was in Dallas, so
But
gotta keep it cowboy related.
yeah, they're the most winningest team in basketball with a 59% win rate.
Shout out Greg Popovich, honestly.
For sure.
Yeah, that's definitely a huge part.
He's their best player in history.
They've been
He's MVP.
They've been a good team for over 20 years.
Yeah.
They have, that definitely comes from great coaching and just his. I'm pretty sure we definitely gave him his flowers on the pod before, but bro, definitely been doing this for multiple decades.
Yeah.
So salute to Pop for sure.
Imagine if he didn't, if he like didn't make himself the coach, and somebody else did today for the first time. Somebody was like fired the coach and then was like, I'll just do it.
Yeah, that is a
It'd be
crazy
so controversial
move.
and everybody would judge them so hard. But like, so I feel like that definitely happened to a degree. Probably less so just because there wasn't as much media coverage on things. So people weren't tweeting about every single decision. That
Oh,
people
dude, but
make
yeah,
all the
you can
time.
only imagine he got some sort of
But
hate
yeah,
for doing that.
there
Like,
was
that's
definitely
crazy.
a little bit like, you really think that you can just do it? And he's proven that he can just do it. He's just that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Championships 1999, 2003, 2005, 2007, 2014. Very dominant.
Yeah.
Timmy Duncan is the one guy in every single spot.
Literally.
And that makes the franchise player conversation very, very easy.
It's so easy.
He was there every single time.
Yeah. I mean, he from being a rookie to being in his 40s, like late 30s,
that's
being
15
amazing.
years, dude.
Yeah.
That's like, it's uncomprehendable, honestly.
No,
But
yeah.
still, it's like he really did that for that long.
Yeah, and he just doesn't get like the credit that I feel like he deserves a lot in conversations just because he wasn't like he just didn't talk. He wasn't like he was like Jokic almost, but like a little bit like to a lesser degree even because
his
like
stats were definitely amazing, but they weren't standout stats all of
Well-
the time.
well, not
And I
even
feel like
that,
was
just
part of it.
just like the fact that like he doesn't talk but like he does like I don't know like it's the same as Jokic but it's different in that aspect because like they both don't talk that shit really, they both don't like get hyped after crazy shit, but like Tim Duncan wasn't racing horses in the offseason. He was at least still putting in work and whatnot. So like I don't
Yeah.
understand why he doesn't get that because like
I was gonna say,
he was so
grow,
good.
growing up for me, Tim Duncan. Before there was Giannis was like anything in the NBA, and before LeBron James and Kevin Durant moved over to the power forward position, if you asked me who the best power forward was of all time, I would have told you Tim Duncan, and I
Bro, I
still
would have
put him
told you
high
Tim
up on.
Duncan
I still put
until
him higher
very
on my list.
recently,
Yeah, that's
honestly.
what I'm saying. Like it definitely changed since I got older and the emergence of Giannis, And like, yeah, so it's like I definitely always had a high regard for Tim Duncan. That was a
But
big
even
fundamental.
as a Bucks fan, I feel like I was still putting Tim Duncan above Giannis, even after Giannis had proven himself to be a better all time than Tim Duncan. It was still like hard for me to make that transition just because, like you said, you grow up seeing that and thinking that and idealizing Tim Duncan as like the ideal power forward. I mean, even Giannis models parts of his game off of Tim Duncan.
Mhm. Timmy D,
Timmy,
That's that guy.
big fundamental.
literally.
Also, shout out Kawhi
The only guy to make
Yeah,
hitting
I
it
was
off
gonna
the glass look cool.
bring that up.
because
Yeah,
I
but
don't know if that
probably
2014 would have
Tim
happened
Duncan.
without Kawhi. Like all credit to Tim Duncan. I'm so happy he was there, but that was definitely a Kawhi thing. And I
No,
like
yeah.
That's just that. I would say
that
that's
man.
just that.
That man.
Kawhi Leonard definitely deserved his flowers for putting in work
Going
during that.
forward, I feel like this one's pretty obvious too. You do whatever Wemby wants you to do.
Yeah,
You you make Wemby's career worth his talent. Like
yeah.
that's you focus
You build around that boy and surround with the good enough pieces for
right,
sure.
right. So moving on to the next team, kind of spinning off the Spurs too. The Mavericks, also a Dallas team. So Dallas Chaps move in 1973. Dallas residents are sad because they don't have a NBA team to root for anymore. Then in 1980, in comes the Mavericks. And when you talk about the Mavericks, you talk about Dirk, obviously. One of
Dirk
those loyal
Nowitzki
players
for sure.
who brought a championship to his team and retired with the team that he was drafted to.
And arguably had like one of the most historic playoff runs in history when you think about all the players, all the teams he had to come through to get there.
Yeah, it's
Like
definitely like
he came through the Lakers. He came through the Lakers who had just came off of their second back to back. Then you have to come up against um I don't even know. I don't even remember fully, but like he definitely had a hard route to get to that finals, and then to come up against the new dynasty and
I
the
think they
Heat.
played the Spurs actually.
Yeah, I'm saying they definitely had a hard route. Cole, I don't know if you know about this. We're talking about the Mavs, and I was talking about Dirk having like the hardest playoff run, arguably ever,
Oh yeah.
because he came through so many great teams with some scrubs, ideally.
No, yeah.
We're missing one though. Lakers,
Yeah.
Spurs,
He
Heat.
came off the two-peat, the Lakers. Then he had to go against the man. Oh, then he had to go against the Spurs and like Tim Duncan in
Are we
them
talking about
prime
their
days.
championship run?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
like what was their bracket like?
And then yeah, obviously, uh, taking a chip away from LeBron is like as notable as when we were talking about Hakeem getting a ring in the Jordan era. That was LeBron's Heat era. That was supposed to be the new equivalent to Jordan's era. They were going to go out there and three-peat and whatever.
Yeah,
And this team stopped that. I feel like we got to talk about the Mavs this season too. I
Okay,
mean,
so the year that the Mavs went to the finals, they beat the Trailblazers the first round. Then they beat
so
the
so that was
Lakers.
like Brandon Roy, LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yep, and then they swept the Lakers.
Okay, yeah.
And then they did beat um young OKC the year
Ooh,
the year before they went to the
oh, okay.
finals.
okay. Yeah.
Yep. In
That was
the
like their
Yeah,
first,
that was them in the
like
Western Conference
the current
Finals.
Thunder last year to compare eras.
Yep.
But yeah, I feel like if the Luka trade didn't happen, the franchise player conversation would be so interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Or
Like
we'd at least be
Luka was
talking about how like Luka has a chance to take the spot away from Dirk.
Dude, I feel
Luka
like I
was
would just give it to Luca.
yeah, Luka was on pace to take that shit.
Right,
Like
so
for
I would
sure.
just give it to him already. But now that he's gone, it's like that resume's
Yeah,
set in stone, and it's not Dirk. It's
Right.
not
Like
an MVP, and
literally
it's
wasn't
not a
there some
compare.
career
championship.
like Dirk was. It all
Yeah,
like that's set in stone, like you said. And
yeah.
that's just
Unfortunately, he was
yeah,
on
it
pace
is
to be
kind
the
of
best ever though. But yeah, ultimately that just didn't happen.
that one clip of that fan that was like, I've been a Mavs fan my entire life. This is the worst day of my life. There's supposed to be a statue. Like
Yeah,
that specific clip.
yeah,
I think about that dude every single day
yeah, dude,
since the
for real.
trade happened. I'm like, that's so crazy.
And it's
Like,
almost sad for Luca because he was on pace to be like the most beloved guy in Dallas, the best guy in Dallas, and now he's got to go to the Lakers where he's at a point in his career where he hasn't been there like if Luca got drafted to the Lakers, he would have had the chance to be the best Laker of all time. But now at this point in his career, there's no chance for him to be the best Laker of all time. Like I don't care what Luca does, he's is not going to have the full resume that some of these other guys do as a Laker.
right.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
So
like, yeah, you can't compare to like Magic being there his rookie year
and winning the finals or Kobe and everything he's done there or even
right.
Shaq the short amount of time that he was there like because Shaq was crazy and had his prime during those
Yeah,
years.
he's still like, yeah.
So cuz
I mean,
I don't even
we'll
think
really never know until it's over, but it's just like it does make the legacy aspect of things really strange, like restarting Luca, especially because
He
when you
restarted
think
his
about
team legacy.
his
when
team
you think
legacy,
about
yeah.
like
His
team
personal
loyalty,
legacy, he'll be fine.
I feel
Yeah,
like for
personal
me,
legacy.
sorry,
No, I was just going to personal legacy. He's going to be solidified. He's still on pace to become one of the
yeah,
best
for
players
sure.
to ever play. But in terms of his team legacy, it's the odds of him going to a team and becoming their best player they've ever had, especially going to the Lakers, I feel like it's very low, just because he's already like 7 or 8 seasons in.
Yeah, he could go to the
And
Hornets and play like 5 years and he'd probably be the best player they ever had, but I don't see
yeah, for
that
sure.
happening. Like
With the Lakers, it's yeah, like if he was drafted there, yes, but like
right.
him coming there in
Yeah,
like year 6, 7,
The
it's
Lakers
like
are just too historic.
I feel
yeah,
like
it's not realistic,
when
unfortunately.
I think about like a player who is loyal to their team, the two people that I think about first are Kobe and Dirk.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
they're always
Yeah,
like my go-tos.
That's
And then
funny.
I think
Those are the
about
two
like,
teams
yeah, and that's
in the
like,
trade, yeah.
so you think about Dallas, they're not as storied as the Lakers. That's their everything was like this franchise player that was
Literally
there the whole
everything was
time. That's
Dirk,
their
yeah.
whole history. And so they're expecting that out of Luca, and they're like the amount of love that fan base poured into Luca just because that's already their precedent on how to be a fan base. Almost like the Lakers, just like a newer version of like
hmm
they want to pour everything into one player
And it
for the
felt
whole
so
career.
right too,
It felt so right.
especially
It
because
did.
like they were both European. They played together for that year or two
Bro,
maybe and
Dirk was
like
at that first Lakers game,
yeah, dude.
because Luca asked him to be
Because
there.
they were legitimately that close, and it felt like he was
Right.
Yeah,
passing the torch down for him to take over the Mavs and be that next best and to be the best ever. And like, man, yeah, it's tough for Luca with that, but
I still wait to
Nico
wake up
Harrison went to bed
sometimes.
on that.
phew. Bro,
Like,
he
As
I
much as
wet the
I've like
bed and
adjusted
shit the bed.
to Luca as a Laker, I still sometimes am like, Luca as a Mav is really over, you know?
yeah,
Like,
literally, bro.
as weird as that is, like I can go to Milwaukee on Thursday and see Luca in the Lakers purple in person in my own eyes and still be like, that man's a Maverick though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bro, it's probably
That's a
man.
tough
He
one.
can't always go back though. Let's be for real. If Nico
Yeah, he
Harrison
can.
gone,
He
That
can.
ain't
like
gonna happen though. He got disrespected by the Mavericks too much, but with that conditioning shit, I think he is mighty
yeah.
pissed off about that.
But
I
I
think
would
he
just say he
loves the
could go.
city, but I don't think he'll ever play for Dallas again.
That's
Real.
valid.
So what's their
He could
goal?
though. He could though. Their
Their
goal,
goal is to find their new
Blowed up.
next young.
hire security to protect Nico Harris.
Fire Nico Harrison.
Fire
Get
Nico
in
Harrison, bud.
Nico Harrison.
Fire that man.
Fire Nico
What
Harrison.
protecting him for? He ain't no fucking prophet. They need to get rid of my man.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
No, yeah,
Fire
that's definitely
Nico.
a flop. And we've
And
talked
start-
about he's the same dude
Sa-
that flopped Curry on Nike.
Send Kyrie
You
to
know?
a championship contender because I'm tired of seeing Kyrie on teams that don't look good.
Not only did
Yeah,
he take
for
away
sure.
our Luka statue in Dallas, he also took away our Curry Nikes that we could have had. We'll never
Imagine
even
what
get to
that
see
shit would
him.
look like.
And he took away Kyrie being on like a championship team, bro. Like that was some of my favorite balls, seeing Kyrie back in the finals and seeing Kyrie actually playing meaningful basketball and like doing shit that like just meant a lot to a team that was actually looking so good, bro. Because like after those couple of years of him just like kind of getting blackballed out of Brooklyn, and even before that when he like was on the Celtics and they were supposed to be super good and then they just like flopped out of the playoffs, like man, I was so pissed for Kyrie because like I'm a huge Kyrie fan, so like all that and now like everything that's been going on with them, it's just like, man, get Kyrie out of there. Get him, I don't even know, dude.
Free Kai.
Get him over in Houston.
Free Kai.
Kai to Houston?
I don't know. I got a good destination. I think he might look good in green, but he already played for the Celtics, so
I hate you. You always got to do this.
I don't know. He's
Wait a
comfortable
minute.
playing the
I know who you're
two-guard,
talking
though,
about. I know who
too.
you're talking about. You're talking about the Bulls because I think they usually wear green like today.
No, I
Yeah.
no, I thought.
Oh
about that.
yeah. He's talking about the Bulls.
Um,
I think he'd look great in Chicago. You're right. I love the St. Patty green jerseys.
Yeah, actually, that'd be crazy. That
That
would get me to go to the United Center to watch a game.
Oh, you're talking about the Raptors old camo jerseys we were talking about? He would look tough in those. He would look tough in those.
No, I'm talking about good-looking jerseys, not really like trash-looking jerseys.
Hmm.
You talking about the animal that get hit by
Let
cars?
me think.
The what?
Good green looking jerseys. Yeah, I was gonna say the only other ones I can think of are the ones Antoine said with the Supersonics.
I could see him on the Supersonics.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's about it though.
We'll say that's where I was going. So we're talking Supersonics. Yeah, Supersonics aren't in this division, but we can talk about the Vancouver Grizzlies. If we're trying to move on.
Oh yeah.
Started in 1995 in Vancouver, obviously, and then they moved in 2001 to Memphis. Hooray for them. Little kind of personal tangent. I hope Vancouver is one of the next teams to get an expansion. I know a lot of rumors say Seattle and Vegas first, so I'm just kind of assuming that. So I'd say third. I would really like to see Vancouver come back.
Okay. Yeah, that would be really cool. But like you said, definitely like a little more down the line because there are other ones that I would personally also like
Yeah, I was
before,
gonna
like
say, we gotta-
Seattle, Las Vegas. As much as like I
Right.
didn't
Those ones
like
I
the
feel like are
idea,
pretty stamped.
yeah, as much as I didn't super like the idea of the whole Las Vegas thing at first, I think the more I think about it, the more it just not only makes sense, but is going to be great for the league just because, I mean, it's a huge city and it's got so much money in it. Like, it's only going to be good for the NBA. You know what I mean?
I think
Yeah, and it seems inevitable just with like the direction that sports betting has gone in
Mhm.
the past few years.
And all the
just seems
speculation of like people saying that like LeBron would be a part owner of the Las Vegas team if there was a Las Vegas team, even though I don't think that would even be possible considering he'd still be a player potentially when that team
Yeah.
gets in, if it's like one of the next
Didn't
teams to be
Curry
in.
just get a job for like college though?
Yeah,
Just maybe,
Davidson,
like,
his
doing the-
his old college.
That's what I thought.
You can't
Um,
work like in the sport that like I don't know, there's like certain rules for it because like I know Tom
makes
Brady
sense.
had to stop or cuz he was trying to be a part owner of the Raiders, I believe, and it was he had to decide to either be an ESPN broadcaster or be a part owner of the Raiders because he couldn't do both because it's like conflicting like interests basically type thing.
Like how you gonna sit on ESPN and talk about the team you own?
Right. And then like how are you going to like get like inside information from like other cuz like then you're like interviewing players
I
and
think
stuff
he
like that and people don't want to
Yeah,
like
that's true.
talk to the owner
yeah,
and
you
shit.
can't like talk about them or call games for them.
Yeah. There you go. That might yeah. because like he
Yeah.
was doing the commentating on the side. So yeah.
Yeah, they was like, cause he's like he worked with Fox, so like they were like, you can't talk about the Raiders, can't like work at games.
Okay.
Just like completely, he got to completely wipe them away from his eye when it comes to being a broadcaster.
But anyways, back to the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I was gonna
So,
say back to the Grizzlies, not this Tom
yeah,
Brady talk.
I want a team back in Vancouver personally. That's what I was saying. But
What
back to the
what
Grizzlies. Since 2001, they've been in Memphis. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, what teams are going to balance out the West though? I mean the East,
Honestly,
because
St.
it might
Louis.
be Memphis.
I'm saying we got so many like options for like
Oh, adding teams in the
yeah.
East.
I
St.
think St.
Louis.
Louis,
Yeah.
Baltimore, Louisville, like all these places. Like I feel like Louisville because Louisville has a nice metropolitan area, and they have no sports team in the whole state. So that'd be kind of like the
Yeah, and they
Packers.
ride super hard behind their college sports.
I know
I
that's
could
why I
see
say I
Super
think that
Cincinnati
hard.
getting a team just
Cincinnati that'd
because
be crazy.
basketball is super big in Ohio.
Trying to think of other
I've also
places.
thought about Florida already has so many teams, but
Yeah,
That almost never matters though.
yeah. It's
Like I don't
I'd be
think
down to
they.
have another team in Florida.
Yeah, I feel like they
I'd be down
never
to have
actually
another
care
team
about
in
that.
Chicago. That's something I realize how
I'm
like
always
kind
for
of a
that. I'm never
fantasy that
against
is,
that
but
ever.
especially when I was younger, I always was like, I hope that Chicago gets 2 basketball teams. They got 2
Man,
baseball teams.
yeah, I know.
Yep.
Hopefully they never leave too.
I don't think they
Hopefully.
will. Too much history there at this point.
There's a lot of history.
Cubs
Yeah, I
will
was gonna
never
say
leave.
too much history there, even for the White Sox, bro.
I don't know. People
That
be
might have to be a
shiesty.
whole community rebuild for the Sox to survive.
That's what I'm saying. You know. Talking about the
Definitely
Grizzlies,
better
franchise player.
Yeah.
The Sox could end up moving though too.
Franchise player for the Grizzlies. Ooh, that's a
That could just
tough
be
one.
what saved them. Yeah, I thought that was gonna be a tough one. You want to hear some? So, what's the toss up?
I got a
Paul
couple.
Gasol, Mike Conley.
No.
For
Paul
me, that's the
Gasol,
toss up.
Mark
Yep.
Gasol,
Gasol brothers
Zach
first.
Randolph.
Randolph, yeah. But he
See, the
also
reason I
played for
even
other
didn't say Mark
teams.
is because I just like put Paul above Mark as far as Grizzlies go.
Yeah, but Mark
They
played there.
traded Powell for Mark.
Yeah, Mark played there longer.
That's crazy. You got traded for your brother. They traded Powell for Mark.
And
But
Powell,
Mark
like,
was like
That's always been
depoy.
a tough one though.
Gave like the best
let's not
year.
even give him that depoy. I love you for bringing that up, but he was all defensive second team the same year. They were robbing LeBron that year. That's what they was
Well,
doing.
I don't
that
know.
year.
I'm just listening to accolade of what he did as a
I
Grizzly.
agree.
But
Yeah, he had a good day. We'll give him all defensive second team.
if I'm being
I'm not
honest,
giving him that depoy.
Tony Allen should have got it. If I'm being honest,
Yeah, over him.
Tony Allen was supposed to get depoy, in my opinion. LeBron was going crazy too. I'm not going to discredit that, but TA had it for sure.
I don't know. I think
Do we
LeBron.
think Ja's gonna take the spot?
Yeah, see, that's another thing
Yeah,
is I
he's
kind
on
of
pace
left
for
Ja
sure.
out of it, but
He
I
hasn't
think
done
that
anything.
he's right around the tipping point where he could be in the next couple of years considered.
Yeah, because none of those guys do they have a championship in history?
Uh,
I don't think so.
not that I can think of from what I've seen.
So
Definitely not in Vancouver and definitely not in Memphis. So no.
Yeah, I'm
right,
saying,
that's what I was thinking. So I mean, yeah, I think Ja's very easily on pace to be the best, almost.
Yeah, for sure.
He just
I,
stays
I,
there his whole career and does the same shit that he's doing right now, and he's the best ever.
Yeah, I would say I don't think
Honestly, I feel
anybody has
like
produced how he has produced for the team ever. I think he's definitely their most like production based player. I don't think they have
And
anybody who
being
can
there
average.
for like his
no,
whole
yeah,
career would help so much more, kind of like
Yeah,
where we were talking about the Luca conversation. Like,
yeah,
I think even one playoff push would, and then if he left, I don't think he's gonna leave, but like one good playoff push this season that's super memorable, and then he'd probably be stamped.
yeah,
Yeah.
truly.
What was I gonna say though?
What's their
I don't
goal?
know. Yeah, we could talk about goals.
Pick up a second guy behind Luca and Jaren. or I guess a third
Yeah,
guy, I should say.
You said Ja? Me?
What did
yeah,
I
this
say?
is
Did
one
I
of
say
those
Luca?
teams.
I just realized
This
that.
is one
Yeah,
of those teams where it's
you knew
like
what I meant.
they definitely have been on the up, so it's hard to say what they need to do to keep going up because you want to just say keep doing what you're doing, but everybody's changing, so you got to constantly be doing
Yeah.
something in order to stay competitive. And yeah, I think that another option for sure. I think like
Not even like an
a
offensive
good
option
passer.
necessarily. Oh, okay. Is that what you're thinking? I was thinking a good, like the opposite end of the spectrum, a good defensive guy up top. Like a good defender to
Okay.
put next to Jaren Jackson, because I feel like that's something that we see that puts these top teams over the edge to be looked at as the best team, is they have like two big men on they're almost going to like an older school style. You look at the
Yeah.
Thunder, when they're at their best, they have Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein both out there at the same time. Those are two guys that could play the center or the power forward. I mean, not really Ihart, he's really just a center, but Chet can play the power forward or the center because of how big he is. The Cavs, they have Emob and Jared Allen when they're at their best. Those are two
Yeah,
guys that are big men
really
as
is
well.
across the board.
You know what I mean? So I feel
So
like that's just
if we like the three of us work for the Grizzlies, who are we going to start targeting
who
to
are we gonna
fill that
start
need?
targeting? See, and the thing for me is you don't even need to go for anything crazy, just because of the fact that, in my opinion, when we talk about all of these other big man tandems that I was just bringing up, I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is the best out of every single one of those big men. I don't know what you guys think, but I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is better than Chet. I think he's better
Yeah.
than Emob. I think he's better than
Yeah, for
Jared
sure.
Allen. I think he's better than Ihart. Obviously, no
Yeah.
disrespect to
No,
Ihart,
yeah, for sure.
but Jared
For
Allen
sure.
or Jaren
It's a
Jackson Jr.
decoy OI.
Right?
So
No,
he's
I
Yeah,
already
agree. He would
and he's
definitely be like the first option in those two.
right.
yeah.
Exactly. So you don't need to get as beefy of a second center as some of these other teams have gone for. So I think someone like maybe a Mitchell Robinson who's shown a little bit of
That's a good one.
like in New York over the last couple of years. I mean, it'd be a little bit harder, I think, now that they're a lot more of a championship team and looking a lot better. So he might be a bit happier where he is. So they may not be looking to kind of move him out anymore. Um,
If I'm thinking young, if I think like young, we're trying to build this core, I would go try to pick up, and he's cheap right now, Donovan Clingan from the
it's a
Trailblazers.
good one. Shit,
Okay.
try
Like,
and pick up the scraps from the failed Lakers deal and go get Mark Williams, because
That's one thing I was just
right.
you
thinking
already
too.
kind of know roughly the trade value that
Or
that they were gonna accept
John
off of.
Collins.
Ooh, John Collins is a good one.
That's a
John
sleeper
Collins.
right there.
The
Yeah.
John
Hawks,
Collins is pretty underrated.
the Hawks might be willing to get rid of Clint Capella if you give them something a little bit good,
Or a
because
Kongu. We'll take a Kongu too.
yep. That's why I was like, yeah, you don't even need to get somebody that's necessarily great. Like, just somebody to help down low a bit more with
You know
him
who I
so
would
that he
take?
doesn't have to.
Unrealistically,
What's that?
unrealistically, I would go for Şengün, but he's a cornerstone for the Rockets.
That's the
Right.
first
But
person I thought of, but I'm like, yeah,
adding
that's not
him there,
realistic.
adding him over there would change the dynamic of that team
Oh my gosh.
tremendously.
You
You
give
need
them
like
a
that
baby Jokic, it's
athleticism.
over, dude. Sengun throwing half court lobs to Ja, it's
Him
over.
and John, not even lob, bro. They're gonna be doing the give and go. Where like he gonna give it to Ja. Basically like
That dribble
Ja gonna have
handoff.
pull up. He gonna hand it off to Ja. I mean, Ja gonna hand it off to Şengün. Şengün gonna hold it up top. Ja gonna run. He just gonna toss it because Ja gonna outrun everybody every time. So it's like, yeah, I feel like that would definitely be a crazy addition to add to the team, and that would allow Jaren Jackson Jr. to be able to focus on his defense more and
Mm,
not have to carry the burden offensively as much. Like let him sit around a 17-point score because, like we talked about this a couple weeks ago, like for him to take that next leap, he has to be a 20-point scorer for what they have right now. If they want to make a leap, he has to be a 20-plus point scorer right now. But Adam Şengün, he can sit around 15, 17 points and getting his defensive back. That's
yep.
what he thrives at mostly.
If Tawan was here, he'd say they got to get rid of Jaren Jackson Jr.
He would too.
Yeah. He definitely thinks bro is softy.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. I'm
If
totally
anybody,
so. If it's if anything that the conversation should be around Jaren Jackson Jr., it's has he made this team his team this year? Because I love Ja to death, but like, man, there's been more like standout performances from Jaren Jack, more 40-point games, more double, more this, that, and the other, probably from Jaren Jackson Jr. than from Ja this year. And it hasn't had no injury or troubles outside of basketball or anything that's affected his stats or anything. It's just been Ja, and
I
I
was
don't
trying
know.
to be devil's advocate, and I was gonna like think of like sort of a trade that I could do to be like, I think this could be better. But you're right, and it is a good fit. I mean, bro's got it figured out, especially if he didn't have to be the main option, like you were saying. So I can't even play devil's advocate just because you're so right.
Yeah, because I feel like
You're in the
that's the
clutch.
move that gets you to that full built A to Z that we've been talking about this whole entire time. That gets you, like I said, from being one of the best teams to stamped as 1A, 1B, 1C, like the Lakers and or the Lakers, Jesus,
Yeah.
the Cavs and the Thunder are.
I
Right.
feel like you can also think about moving on from Desmond Bain, and that's not because it's not
Really,
working out. But that's not because it's not working out, but because you can get so much back for him.
I hear you. I just think he's
I
one of
feel like
those
you can get
pieces
two.
that, man, like when Jaw's not
Like,
doing offensively that thing, like he's that guard that can, because low key you kind of need scoring from all angles of the floor to win in the playoffs. You know what I mean? You need somebody to be doing something from the perimeter. You need somebody to be doing something from the inside and maybe something a little bit on the mid. So I just feel
I
like
feel like
he's
you.
that perfect X factor right next to Ja. That like, cause like so many times we often see that he's actually like their leading scorer.
No, he definitely is the leading scorer, but that's why I say you could possibly get like two people for his one type of thing. Like I feel like at the right time you can trade him off and get Anthony Simons and
Only if you get
Donovan
the right
Clinton.
deal. Yeah, if you get
That's what I
something.
said. You can get Donovan Clinton and Anthony Simons at the same time. And I don't know why I'm going strictly Trailblazers with it, but
Yeah,
that's the
you
first
are
thing that
stuck
came
on that.
to mind. When
Like
I like when the
who's
first
shopping? That's important.
like Trailblazers would be shopping those guys. So that's why I say I feel like you could definitely get two nice pieces that can like come do something with uh Ja and the Grizzlies immediately, you know.
So we got one last team today. The
Okay.
Pelicans have a sort of interesting history. Starting in 2002 as the New Orleans Hornets, and then
That team is my age.
yeah, that is crazy. Soon after they get Chris Paul on the team, and then it was like the 2005 to 6 and then 2006 to 7 season. They were like the New Orleans Hornets, but they were also the Oklahoma City Hornets. Um, do you know why? They were doing something to the arena,
Oh,
so
wait,
they
they
went
were
to Oklahoma City for a certain
because
amount of
of Hurricane
games
Katrina.
because of Hurricane Katrina. Thank you. I knew it was like significant, but I could not remember what the event was.
That's what led to OKC getting the
Yeah, that's what I was
Thunder
gonna say.
is
Is like
because they kind of fell in love with having the Hornets. And it was like, yo, these people
this is
actually
a
show up and
basketball
show out.
city.
Yeah, so yeah,
And then of course we'll talk about it again, but the Supersonics couldn't make enough money or make a deal with the city, so they couldn't build a new arena to make more money, so they ended up moving to Oklahoma City
yeah.
to give us what the modern day Thunder is. But the Hornets, the New Orleans Hornets, Oklahoma City Hornets, became the Pelicans and are not even associated with the Hornets we talked about on the last episode.
They gave Charlotte their history.
Yeah. Oh, they
It's
did?
like yeah, like teams can do that. Where like
Okay,
if
so
this
it's kind of
like
shared.
no, they just gave it back. So it's like technically that history belonged to New Orleans, not New Orleans Pelicans, Hornets. It belonged to whatever team is in New Orleans.
Right.
But
It's
since the
on
Charlotte
New
Hornets,
Orleans basketball reference. That's why I
yeah,
asked.
yeah. So once the Hornets left and went to Charlotte, they got to keep their history and be like, well, as the Hornets uh, franchise, we've done X, Y, Z. Where like they already said, like the Thunder agreed that if the Supersonics come back, they'll get
Yeah.
the Supersonics
Right.
history. So the Thunder will not be the Thunder will not be credited with drafting Kevin Durant anymore. The Sonics will be like the team that drafted him.
Big respect to them for that, by the way. That's like huge.
But
Yeah,
based
for
on
sure.
this, if you looked at the Oklahoma City Thunder's history, you'd still see the Supersonics history.
Yeah.
Although the banners are going to be in Seattle, theoretically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll see like the rewards from the Supersonics decisions because
That makes sense.
they definitely had some years where like certain things happened, like MVP with KD and whatnot, but that was in OKC despite the Supersonics drafting him.
Okay, so all that history that we just talked about considered, the New Orleans Pelicans were firmly established in 2013.
Mm-hmm. They have like no history.
Yeah, the New Orleans Pelicans.
Their only history is the franchise face conversation, and it's only really like it's probably AD just because that was the New Orleans Pelicans the whole time, but like you still talk about CP3 because he was there for both. Like, yeah,
there for both? No, he wasn't.
He didn't play for them.
He didn't play for the Pelicans. He only played for the Hornets. He got traded from the Hornets, was supposed to go to the Lakers, but then got traded to the Clippers.
Well, then, yeah, all their history is Anthony Davis, and then the Zion phase that didn't work that brought them to the rebuild they're in now. Probably the least storied franchise. I mean, besides that, like, interesting history that we just talked about.
Yeah, them and the Hornets are tough.
They're cursed.
Yep.
I was going to ask this, though. Was Anthony Davis getting traded to the Lakers a bad thing for everybody except for LeBron and the Lakers? I mean, yes, Anthony Davis got a championship, but
I'm going to say not really.
I'm going to say no because I don't think that AD and what they had going on was going to work ever. So I think that they at least moved on from that at the best time possible. They got a crazy package back, like a bunch of picks, they got a really good package for AD, truly. So I'm going to say no, especially because they ended up getting Zion. And while, although, like you said, that experiment hasn't worked out so far, if we're being honest,
it still could.
Yeah, at this point in time, Zion only keeps looking better and better, and he still is super young. So, I mean,
like it's not
as Zion's of right now. Who are you taking, Zion or AD? See, you had to think about it. So that means that the Pelicans actually did win that shit because they still got more assets than just AD, and the Lakers have moved on from AD and whatnot. So, not saying that like the Lakers didn't win, but like the Pelicans also definitely won. Like in my opinion.
Yes, AD did get a ring, but like when you ask the question like for the league, I feel like it really because like they really didn't have like a whip where it was like they were super dominant and this changed like the fate of the NBA. They did get their ring, but they also wasn't like a super dominant team that you were like scared to play every night. They were a very beatable team.
I hear you, but I still think you're gonna always say it's worth it for the chip.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. I agree on all points. Yeah, I don't think the Pelicans were getting a chip with Anthony Davis.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Nah, that wasn't happening.
So
that wouldn't happen.
And for me, if I were a GM and I were trading somebody, I would hope that they would if I'm not gonna win a championship every single year with my team, I would hope that they could go get one while I'm rebuilding or something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Just because, I don't know, I'm a nice guy, I guess. But yeah, going forward, they're kind of a mess. I don't know.
I'm gonna say buy into Zion. Yeah, that's it.
Keep Zion. Like
rebuild around him.
Rebuild around him because, like you're saying, he keeps getting better and.
Unless somebody offering a good package.
Yeah.
Hey, let's be realistic.
What happened with
they are so far. Zion is going. No disrespect, but he's going to ride away before they get a shot at the title right now. Compared to like where they at now, and like we said, we have so many other teams that are busting and are up and coming. Like we got the Grizzlies and the Rockets just in their division who are not fully there. Then you think about the Thunder, the Nuggets.
The Rockets were ass last year, though.
Yeah, that is. That is true.
But
So
if we're
then
also
you can
being
use
honest, I'm not gonna lie. I hear you a lot more now that I like just thought about it to myself on the Pelicans trying to sell on Zion while he's doing really good. Not only just for that reason, but just because if we're gonna be completely honest, like throwing all bias aside, because we all obviously love Zion, he's been injury prone so far throughout his career, and now is the best he's looking. So now, if you're gonna ever trade him, is probably the best time because you don't want to wait until he gets
literally.
old and then he starts to become injury prone again. His body is at the
Yeah.
healthiest it has ever been right now. That's when the Pelicans need to take advantage to trade him if they're gonna. Otherwise, you need to full buy into trade or building around
Yeah.
him and accepting that you failed if that day does come, and honestly, when that day does come.
I also think
Yeah.
it has to
I
do with
agree.
picks. Like in a like similar scenario to the Anthony Davis thing, if you know you got a potential Zion coming, um, you might be more likely to shop Zion, you know? Or like
Mm-hmm.
if you're looking forward, like, and you know you're probably gonna get Cooper Flag, like it's really up in the air. But if they were in a scenario kind of like the Indiana Fever were with Caitlin Clark, where it's like, yeah, we're gonna get Caitlin Clark. We know that's gonna happen for sure. Like
Mhm.
they started making moves immediately when they knew they had the pick, you know? So like that's the type of thing where it could turn out that way. But
It's also based if Cooper want to come, because like it's a lot of speculation that Cooper
I
might
saw
stay for
that.
another year,
Yeah,
especially
but
with him
honestly,
getting.
that shit is such bullshit because the only thing he's gonna do is sit a year just to end up having to get drafted by the same exact team he sat a year just to wait, like, or
Yeah,
to
that was
try
the
and get
first
away
time
from.
that he ever displayed his personality for me.
Because all the
It'd be,
worst teams in the NBA right now are going to stay being the worst team in the NBA next year. You can't convince me that the Pelicans
Right.
can go from one off season and instantly jump up, or that
when the
whoever the
Rockets did,
Hornets, the Rockets had a built foundation. The Pelicans are scatterbrained. They just
I'm just
trade.
talking
Nah,
shit.
I know, I
I'm
know,
just like
I know.
Michael
But
Jordan
I
after
still
Arena
gotta,
made me be
I still gotta get into it.
like,
And then the Hornets. I mean, the Hornets one I'll give you. If they get like one piece and they like get everybody to buy in, I genuinely could see the Hornets looking a lot better with
But
good
still,
progression with Brandon Miller and LaMelo actually buying in. That's why I'm saying like if they bought in, but
but didn't
still,
he say what teams he would like he did want to play for? Like what teams is he
I
expecting
honestly
to
don't
become
know
bad
because like I
that
literally
he can just
I
hop on?
yeah, I saw that and I was like, no way, this is real. Like, and I knew it was real, but like on some like, no way, like that kind of pisses me off. Like, I
It
just
is
don't know
pretty
why we're
crazy.
maybe
doing that.
Like would he
maybe he
play for
hopes
the
somebody
Spurs?
drafting up.
That count?
Maybe he hopes somebody's gonna probably make a trade and draft up or something.
Yeah,
Him on the
maybe.
Spurs would be deadly. Not gonna lie.
Oh,
Having like being able to space the floor with De'Aaron at the one, or maybe even Chris Paul at the one, pending, and then having Cooper at the three,
I think CP's
and then
retiring this year,
man.
honestly, man.
having
I was
Wimby at
thinking
the
I've been
four,
thinking that
five.
for a while.
I love CP to death, but I think he's retiring.
I was just gonna say sorry, Pelicans fans. You know, if we're trying to figure out a goal for a team and we end up talking about Cooper Flag, that's not a good sign for where your team's at.
Yeah.
I feel like for them though, that's probably they're in the best spot to be in that just because they're so bad and they have the chance to actually get him and they still do have Zion. So if they
That's
could
true. And they're
best
also
best case scenario next year they're going into it with a Cooper Flag Zion duo and who knows that could take over the league, man. Like
No,
I
that,
think
that
they're one
that
of the
is something to
teams
be
that are
worried about.
kind of like thinking about Cooper Flag that don't necessarily need him to go forward. There are teams that desperately need Cooper Flag on
right.
there. But
At that point though, Wills, if with that mindset, me personally, I would start shopping that pick and
yeah, that's
try to
valid.
finesse like a seventh pick. You know, like a seventh, eighth pick, see who their best guy is, or their second by the best guy is, so we can get their second best guy plus get our first pick off. You know, and plus, you know, you add some more stuff within like that's just not the first pick, but like if the Pelicans were to get the first pick, they'll shop that off with one of their players like Jose Alvarado. You know, maybe. You know, like ship one of those guys off and be able to get another team's second best player plus a seventh pick and still be able to draft some great talent.
Yeah, I think
But
that's a
that's
good
like,
idea, honestly.
that was like the philosophy of like what Michael was saying. Like we also like we're not planning for Cooper Flag, but we're like, hey, we can get Cooper. But I was like, if I had that mindset, I would just try to shop shop that pick off.
I think if it was like a 60%, 40% scenario, I'd say 60% of the mindset would be like, we're gonna get Cooper Flag. But
Yeah.
40% would be like, it's okay if we don't, even though that's like really what we need and want right now. If we don't get it, we can figure something else out.
Yeah, literally. It won't make
I
a
would
break
just
so,
do
like,
it. If I'm the Pelicans and I get the first pick, I'm taking Cooper Flag, and
I
then
think in
I'll
most
shop him.
scenarios, if I were a GM, I would. If I had the number one pick, I would take it.
I'll take Cooper Flag, and then I'll shop him himself.
If it was an
But I-
off year, maybe not. But like, if there's a guy that you're talking about in advance, like most years, I would probably just take that guy because.
But if you shop the pick, you give teams their own. They can pick who they want to pick. Because I feel like ultimately everybody might not have Cooper at number one. Because
That's
teams
true.
because every team got
Zachary
different
Ricochet
wants
was
and
kind of a
needs.
surprise.
Yeah, so it's like
Yeah, but I
it-
feel like
it
Coop's
definitely-
like clear number one.
Yeah, that's true. Zachary Ricochet
I don't
didn't
know.
really blow too many.
I like
minds.
Ace Bailey.
I don't think Ace Bailey is number one.
I like Ace Bailey personally.
I like him too. I'm not saying he's bad. I was
I'm
like-
just trying-
I was like,
fuck
he's
with him,
good,
I'm
but he's like a
I'm
lottery.
not gonna be like, yeah.
But that wraps up the Southwest Division.
Yes,
Hell
sir.
So yeah, you trying to wrap it up?
Hell yeah. So this will end off episode whatever of the Ball Talk podcast. I don't even know which
I'm
one
gonna
we're
guess
on.
it's episode 7. Let me guess.
I think it's
Mhm.
8 or 9 now at this point. We've been going at it for a little over 2 months now. So
That's
we
even better.
we bout this shit, guys. Y'all crazy. That's getting left in there. But
But
we love y'all
Okay,
so
well.
much. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, share it with your mama, share it with your dog, share it with your grandmama, share it with everybody because
share it with your gerbil, share it with your neighborhood squirrel, share it with
Exactly.
the pop that lives under your porch, share it with the raccoon that be eating your grandma garbage, share it with everybody.
Put
exactly.
that shit on in your car. Put that shit on at your work. Put that shit on at the jukebox at the local bar that you're not super comfortable at, but there's not too many bars around, so you got to go to that one anyways. Do whatever you got to do. Just put that shit out there.
You
All right, we love y'all so much and we will see y'all next week. Peace.